Brought to you by South Florida Lexus dealers and the Lexus RX, the luxury SUV for those who never want to lose their edge. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer. Also sponsored by the free Odyssey app. Download it today to listen to us live or on demand. And by Edmore Sawgrass Chevrolet. Edmore Sawgrass Chevrolet is your lease return headquarters. Click EdmoreSawgrassChevrolet.com and see how you're backed by Morse when it comes to returning your lease. Ed Morse is a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
Good morning, everybody. It's another edition of Game Day Uncensored here on 560 WQAM. Brendan Tobin here with you alongside my co-host Alejandro Solana. Produced this beautiful morning by Dan Day, who you'll be able to hear after today's game as he hosts Game Day Uncensored post-game edition. Coming your way around 4 p.m. today. We got Dolphins and Colts from, oh, what a hellhole Indianapolis is. I can't stress that enough. Solana, good morning. How are you?
I'm good, Matt. You didn't like your time in Indy? What were you at? Big 12 media days? Big 10 media days?
I can't keep up with the conferences. I was very confused. I mean, there was a bunch of California teams in the Big 10 now. I show up, I walk out of the elevator. I'm like, what? Who are these teams? What are they doing here? Doesn't make any sense. It does. I was like, what do you mean USC's in the Big 10 now? This is all like I heard fodder about it. I just didn't know it was official.
So I've been to Indy a couple times for the NFL Combine.
Sucks, right?
So like their claim to fame are two things. One, when it's cold, everybody's like, oh, the city's connected with these nice tunnels. They're not tunnels, but like these like walkways. Oh, the city's connected by these walkways.
Yeah,
you're gonna love it. And it's like, if your claim to fame is that I don't have to walk outside, is that really a good thing? And then everybody's like, oh, this St. Elmo's. You remember Big O, right, Tobin?
Yeah.
Oh, St. Elmo's. And
that's
and
apparently that's like where all the NFL chatter goes on, right?
And he took me to St. Elmo's, and everybody's like, oh, St. Elmo's. And like, bro, I'm getting a shrimp platter. Like, what the hell? That's your claim to fame in Indy? So I've been there a couple times. That place stinks. Let's just be honest. That place stinks, man.
Nice stadium. I will say a nice stadium.
Beautiful stadium.
A nice stadium. You know what's cool about them? You know, we got Porpoise props coming up later on, but they have a book in their stadium, which was the first time I ever had seen that in person. I know the Panthers have like the board up, but you still have to do everything through the app, yeah? So I was like looking at it, I was like, oh, you could just bet in here during the game? That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. Damn. The app is it's convenient, Tobin.
It is convenient. It is
We're
convenient.
not complaining.
It's like looking up there, I'm like, oh, look at that board. You could just go and bet everything. And also they love Peyton Manning. We get it.
Yeah.
So that's what we got today, man. Dolphins off the bye week. They come off of a win. We did not get to discuss that win. But the Miami Dolphins were able to hold off the New England Patriots in a game that was probably a little closer than it should have been, mostly dealt with because of turnovers or special teams blunders, Solana. But the Dolphins are here. They have a chance with this Colts game to really reset the season. All national reports this weekend were that Tua is going to be coming back next week. You know, you're seeing this from Schefter, Diana Rossino. He's got no restrictions. He's basically going to be good to go for Arizona. So this is the Dolphins' opportunity against a Colts team that is 500. I don't really know what to make of them because they are starting Anthony Richardson, who's got like 3 games in his career. He throws the ball all over the place, but he's also the size of a moose. So this is such a wild card game to me. What do you make of this one on the outset?
Yeah, so we had on a handicapper on our show on Hawk and Crowder this week, Tobin. His name's Lee Sterling, and he said something interesting. He said, this is the most important game of the season for the Dolphins. And I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not, but I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on that because I could make the case for it being the most important game of the season, right? Okay, you won your Patriots game. Great. By a toe. Congrats, McDaniel. Head into the bye week with a victory. You finally didn't lose a game and fall flat on your face without Tua Tagovailoa. Okay, if you win this game, Tobin, that means you went 2-2 without Tua.
Yep.
You beat the two teams, I guess, you were supposed to beat, even though Tennessee was miserable. And Tua comes back at 3-3 with I mean, 9 games left or whatever it is. I mean that is a really good spot considering how bad this team looked in Seattle and then at home Monday Night Football against Tennessee. To me, it's an interesting conversation because, man, the difference between 3-3 and 2-4 actually is a big deal in this conference.
Yeah, it certainly is, especially knowing that, you get this chance against Arizona, who's not very good, to be in your building where you're usually a lot better, getting your quarterback back, and that sets you up for what I really think will be the most important game of the week, which is going to be at Buffalo in a couple of weeks.
For sure. Yeah.
But I get it. Like it's just a good opportunity for the Dolphins because I don't know what to make of any of these games other than, there's supposed to be some growth from Mike McDaniel. We've talked, like, this season has gone about as bad as you could possibly have imagined it going for the Miami Dolphins. And for after all that to end, if they are able to get a win today at 3-3, you'd have a huge sigh of relief for sure to say, like, hey, there's still an opportunity here to make this season something. You lose, it's a hell of a climb. I mean, you could still reset it somewhat if you are still able to win in Buffalo in a couple weeks on top of to a return, but you're not going to feel good about it because we were talking about that Bills game just on the start of the season, and so how could you have the faith they're going to go do that even with Buffalo maybe not looking as much of a dominant factor? They play different when it's against you.
Yeah, they do. No, and look, I mean, just look at the rest of the schedule. I know we've done this a million times already, but I mean, it's not much easier after you play Buffalo. So I think, you can look at this game and say, all right, if somehow you manage to look better after a bye week, your 4th game without Tua, I think McDaniel can come away looking a lot better right now. And I think even for Chris Grier, everybody feels the way they feel about Chris Grier. All right. Like, we're not going to change that. But again, you go 2-2 and your team looks a little bit better. That depth that we all question and continue to question comes up and finally can put together 4 decent quarters of an NFL game, Tobin. I think we go into week 8 next week into Arizona with Tua back, just feeling a lot better about the direction of this franchise. Because, bro, it was pretty bad 2 weeks ago, man. You lose to Monday Night Football to Tennessee. I mean, like, we were kind of doing doom shows, like, this season's done. This era might have to be done. And this win here could potentially reverse all of those conversations, not to the point where we're saying, all right, we're back. We're going back to the Super Bowl, how we were all feeling in the offseason. But at the very least, you kind of feel like, okay, there might actually be something here as long as Tua can stay on the field.
Yeah, I believe that. I think that's certainly plausible to have all that go out there. I'd like to see again them go out and have a performance now off the bye to look more competent and not have such ridiculous blunders all over the place. Because
so you're not buying it, is what you're saying. Like, you're not buying that this team can look competent today. Is that what you're saying? Because I'm kind of there with you, but I am giving McDaniel the benefit of the doubt. Bro, they won that Patriots game by a toe. They had one good drive. Let's all be honest. They had one good drive. Alec Ingold steamrolled everybody in front of them, and they were able to punch the ball in. Outside of that, the team really didn't look much better than they did the previous 2 weeks against Seattle and Tennessee. I mean, Snoop Huntley, Tobin, I guess, marginally better. Like, marginally, you finally got some Jonnu Smith involved in the offense. Like, there were some positives, but you were a toe away from losing to probably the worst team in the NFL.
Yeah, and I think the thing that made it look worse is just these critical errors, like snapping the ball over Snoop's head to ruin a drive, a blocked punt, a missed field goal, a bad snap off the field goal, like all of this stuff that just could have been really combustible. So they skate away with a road win. Don't apologize for it. That's fine. Whatever the weird rule is for heel or toe or whatever, they got it right and they should have won. That being said, I still have to see a lot more, Solana, of them looking like a real contender, because I'm not doing this based off of they're, we should feel pretty good. Like, no, the owner went out there, the boss of the team said Super Bowl contender if you're healthy. So I would like to know when they get healthy if we're going to have the offense that's feared around the league anymore, or if it's completely figured out. And that's the thing that's been, kind of wild about it, is that they look so far away from the identity of the team that got everybody excited back-to-back years. Today, just go win. That's the objective. Go win, get yourself to 3-3, get your quarterback back. You'll feel everyone's going to have a sense of relief because that's just the way the NFL is. But I guess the question is, if they win today, which is still an if, I don't think you can chalk it up.
No, you can't.
If they win today, do we really feel like they're going to head towards something real, or is this just staving off ultimate disappointment? That's, I guess, what we got to look out for.
Man, Tobin, I want to give you a big bear hug right now, man. I'm sorry. Like, you had
what?
Your expectations for this season, like 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, were just, I mean, I thought this team was very good. I thought they were a playoff team. I expected the offense to look good, but I had my doubts. Like, I didn't think a Tua-led team could beat the Patrick Mahomes of the world, the Lamar Jacksons, the Josh Allens, especially not week after week after week in the playoffs. So my expectations were always, all right, they're going to make the playoffs, and then they'll probably lose in the first round, or maybe they'll win a playoff game this year, but eventually they'll come up against a better team, the elites of the AFC, and that's it. I mean, your expectations were like, this team's fun. They're the funnest team in the NFL. They're going to put up 1 million points again. I mean, I just want to give you a bear hug, man. I'm sorry. Like, this has been brutal for you.
I want to give you a hug because you're not assessing this from reality. Like, you're like, oh, it'll be fine if it's 3-3, we're good, But
well, considering the circumstances, I mean, we're trying to salvage the season. You're 3-3, fine. You want to talk about after this week with Tua coming back? Do I think this team is going to look even like a modicum of what they were last year? No. I mean, what have they shown you this year to give you hope? They beat the Jaguars in week 1. I get it. They beat the Jaguars because Javon Holland punched out a football. Guess what? That wrist from Javon Holland is taped up right now, man. Can he punch out footballs? Can he give you that type of winning play? I don't know. Is he going to play today? Probably not. Is Tua going to look like the Tua we know? Or is he going to start going down again to avoid contact? Like, probably the latter.
That's what I wanted in the first place. I don't want him running all over the place.
Yeah, but I mean, he's nimble now. He's nimble now, Tobin. Come on. He lost all that weight to be more nimble.
We got lots to dive into. Omar Kelly and Adam Beasley are going to stop by Gameday Uncensored. We'll take a break here on the program. We take you up all the way until the 1 o'clock kickoff from Indy. Take a break here on Gameday Uncensored. Back with more after this.
WQAM broadcasting live from the Ed Moore
let's get back to Game Day Uncensored on AM 560 Sports, WQAM, FM 99.9 HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Brought to you by South Florida Lexus dealers and the Lexus RX, the luxury SUV for those who never want to lose their edge. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer. Also sponsored by the free Odyssey app. Download it today to listen to us live or on demand. And by Edmore Sawgrass Buick GMC. No matter where you lease your vehicle, bring it to Edmore Sawgrass Buick GMC, your lease return headquarters. It's all a part of being backed by Morse. Click EdmoreSawgrassBuickGMC.com, a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
Welcome back in, everybody. It is Game Day Uncensored here, which is brought to you in part by your South Florida Chevy dealers. Looking for more power, capability, and technology? With Chevy trucks, you're ready for anything. Chevrolet, together, let's drive. Dolphins getting ready for the Indianapolis Colts as they are fresh off the bye week. A lot of interesting nuggets in here to look at this game, which we'll get more into as the game goes on. But on the outset from this game, you got Anthony Richardson starting at quarterback instead of Joe Flacco. A lot of people raising an eyebrow at that, Solana, because you have a young quarterback, very athletic, but inconsistent, and that's interesting from Joe, who's been like Mr. Backup quarterback lately. He's everybody's favorite all of a sudden. Joe Flacco went from like the most boring quarterback in the league to the most widely beloved, savvy veteran in the span of like 2 years. You remember when the Dolphins played him in that game to snap a lose streak? His kids were wearing Tyreek Hill jerseys.
Yeah, it was like the season finale, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And he came to South Florida, Hard Rock Stadium. Dolphins needed to win that game. We were still doing the Porpoise Pod, and it was just like a miserable ending of the season. The Dolphins won that game, 9-6, I think.
Felt like every Dolphins game now for a good 8 weeks going back to last season.
Yeah. And then now though, like
he's loved.
Not only that, Tobin, I'm not even kidding, man. He might be better than like a third of the starting quarterbacks in the NFL right now. Truthfully.
He might be. It's funny because you think about the Colts, because their post Peyton Manning, Andrew Luck era has not gone swimmingly, which you deserve, by the way. Like everybody's thinking, we're still waiting. Technically still waiting around for the next Marino, even though I love you, Tua. But, you have them and the Patriots finally having some quarterback karma that they got to make up for after many a year. But, I get why people are a little bit squirrely about putting Richardson out there, but he's the number 4 overall pick, right? And if you're Indy, I don't know if you've looked ahead at their schedule, but one of the things that's interesting is they got I think Houston next week, Minnesota coming up. They got some really tough matchups. So if you're going to bring the kid in, I don't necessarily recommend that being against a Brian Flores or D'Amico Ryan defense. And so in a way, the Dolphins got to kind of take it as a look of disrespect that they're being looked upon as the soft opening for Anthony Richardson.
For sure. But you're right, 100%, because who gives that team a better chance to win? Joe Flacco, 100%. Here's the thing, though. They're kind of in a situation where, okay, we've got a top 5 pick under our belt. He's healthy. Are we going to win the Super Bowl with Joe Flacco? Like, probably not, Toby, right? Probably not. I mean, maybe, but probably not. So what are we doing? We're spinning our wheels here with Joe Flacco, even though he might end up with a better record than Anthony Richardson at the end of the year. You have to know if your top pick is good or not. Like, at some point, you have to figure it out. You couldn't last year. He was hurt. This year, he's been hurt. At some point, you have to figure out, do we actually have a gold mine here, or do we just have somebody who can throw the ball 373 yards like he's Tiger Woods off a tee, but he can't make the easy throws to win a game?
Yeah, for sure. It's one of those things, too, where, like, if it was San Francisco and, like, Brock Purdy was also young, or you think back to maybe like the RG3 Kirk Cousins teams, like, all right, that's a little different, but like, okay, we're going to do this with Joe. He's 40. Like, how do you keep going to that well? The Dolphins, they're going to need Snoop Huntley to be a even better version of himself. What did you think? We'll put a bow a little bit here on the last game, Solana. it was already, we've already had a week going, so I don't want to dive too much into the Patriots game. But I think the big stories that we got to look out for is the run game looked awesome. They really found something there. They rushed for almost 200 yards. You got Mostert back. You did lose Devon Achane to a pretty brutal concussion, but it seems like he's going to be back good to go. And Tyler Huntley, much, much better version than what we saw against the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, I mean, look, you scored 15 points, okay?
Oof.
Like, let's be 100% honest about this. The bar was set extremely low. Like, think of the lowest possible bar and then go lower, okay? He was better than you saw on Monday Night Football, Tobin. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But the reality is you scored 15 points. With that being said, I thought there were more chances taken, and Huntley just looked more comfortable in the offense. So I'm hoping you kind of build off of that. And now, after 2 weeks from that game, with the bye week included, he looks even more comfortable in the Dolphins offense. All this to say, he's the best backup the Dolphins got. All right. So, he's better. He looked better than Skylar Thompson, and he certainly is better than Tim Boyle. So I don't think there's a question that he should be the guy starting again today.
Yeah, this all kind of stems from, man, they put a lot of faith in Skylar, and I don't know what the hell happened in Seattle, but this guy, the whole reason when Mike McDaniel said they brought him in, and it's like, hey, this guy's been in the situation where he's had to replace an MVP. He's experienced in bringing together a team. I definitely thought there were elements of that looked better. It's not like the flashiest numbers in the world, but you also got to see an element of his run game a little bit.
Right.
You got to see him kind of cut it loose. He didn't seem scared out there. And then there were also just penalties and mistakes that just continue to plague Miami at the worst opportune times. So I definitely think there's still some meat on the bone for him to have a good performance. But Raheem Mostert, to me, that was I think probably the biggest improvement on offense. Yeah, they got Teron Armstead back after his eye poke concussion. That was a real thing this year. But Mostert coming back definitely felt like it set a tone. Jalen Wright, best performance from him. He looked really, really impressive. What'd you make of the run game?
Yeah, well, it's funny because before that game, Tobin, I think I had said to you, and you had agreed, man, we're all talking about Tua's return, obviously, right? Okay, we understand Tua's the engine that drives this entire thing, this entire operation. But, bro, Raheem Mostert set a franchise record for touchdowns last year. Like, the idea that he can't help and make this team look substantially better on the ground was crazy to me. I mean, we all love Devon Achane. We know how good he is, but out of the backfield, the best option the Dolphins have is Raheem Mostert, the guy who likes to surf. And it's not surprising to me that finally he was 100% healthy, or looked it, and he went out there and he produced. And, man, the offensive line, specifically Teron Armstead, but the offensive line being healthy, they're not great healthy. They're not. Like, they're not a top-tier offensive line. But they're a lot better than the alternative, which is no Teron Armstead. It's a huge drop-off, Tobin. So I think that helps as well. I'm a little nervous today because there were some surprising additions to the injury list late Friday that we knew nothing about, including the right tackle, Austin Jackson. Like, I'm a little nervous about that because I was kind of hoping this bye week would give you an opportunity to just get healthy finally, right? Okay, Javon's dealing with his injury. We know about JP, fine, but Jordan Poyer was coming back. The rest of the weapons seem to be healthy. And all of a sudden, here we go. Odell Beckham Jr. misses practice for personal reasons, and I think a hamstring. And now Austin Jackson is questionable for the game also. Those are, in my opinion, kind of bummers, man, because you want to just be healthy for a game like this.
Yeah, and it's tough to think, in the NFL where everything just there's not going to be that time. Whenever we think there's going to be this time where everybody's back, something else is going to pop up because it's a violent sport. Like, things happen. Javon Holland is thinking about playing with the club, but he's doubtful. Odell Beckham, we were all excited for that return. He's already got a hamstring injury, but
What do you make? What do you make of Javon, by the way? Because I understand a football player's mentality, right? Like, go out there, put your effing helmet on, and go run through somebody no matter what. Like, if you're literally able to go out there, you go. Tobin, this guy's up for a huge contract. It doesn't look like the Dolphins are going to give it to him. Like, I can't for the life of me understand why this dude's going to play after having surgery like 10 days ago. reportedly, I believe. I don't get that at all. I understand, like, hey, you go out there, you're a warrior, you do it for your team, and kudos, man. Hats off. I love Javon Holland. Great guy on and off the field. But I'm just thinking strictly from a business standpoint, like he's injured, Tobin. He's injured, and he's going to risk further injuring a broken bone in his hand for a team that's 2-3 and an organization that doesn't want to pay him after they've paid everybody else.
Right.
I don't understand it at all, man. I don't get it.
Look, it would show. I think I don't know what it buys him, right? Like I don't know what it's going to get because we always kind of get the hint on these things with Chris Greer. We get a pretty early sense. Like if they're dragging their feet, it usually means that guy's not going to get paid.
Yeah.
You know, of the
Look at
recent
Steve
example,
Christian
Wilkins, Gesicki. You know, the writing feels like it's on the wall, whether you agree with it or not. That's where the organization leans. I guess the only thing you could say with him is it's a hand. You know, it's not like it's painful. I'm not going to do it, but it's not like a knee injury he's playing through. You know, it's not like something that like once he's allowed to rest it, it's going to get better. But I also think like, all right, they got this inconsistent QB they're taking on this week. Could they last a week without it? Let it heal up because, well, you know, like I said, the game that you really got to focus on to really reset your season and get off is probably Buffalo. So will 2 more weeks make a world of difference for Javon Holland? They certainly got to weigh those options and see. But if he goes out today, man, I mean, like I was saying this after opening week when he saved the damn team with punching out that football. Like, can you believe everybody got these contracts? This was the guy that saved the day for the Dolphins after everybody looked pretty pedestrian all over the place. He didn't get it. So I don't know. I don't know what it buys him if he goes out there and does that, but he's certainly trying. Like he's been out there with, you know, whatever has been on his hand. He looks like he's giving it a go. They're probably just weighing on, hey, 1 week would be a lot more beneficial for this.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe, you know, in his head, he's thinking to himself, man, like I gotta be out in the field more. Cause last year missed some games with the knee injuries. I know a bunch of fans were upset about it. Like, trust me, this dude was trying to get out there, man. But he did miss. He missed, I think, the last 4 games, right, of the season, Tobin, after
I had never heard of what happened. I've never heard of a guy injuring both knees.
Both knees.
I've never heard of that. So
crazy. Yeah.
You know, I think the fact that he was even trying to make an effort for that, I think already shows you he's trying, and it didn't really result in the Dolphins giving him anything. So while this is less of a career threatening injury or a long-term injury threat, it's still painful, man. Like you're still going out there and you got to go play vulnerable, and you know you're probably going to get picked on. And you know, we've already seen this year where Jordan Boyer's gotten his hand stuck in a dude's helmet because he was trying to play with a soft cast on there with a busted thumb. You know, I think this is one of those where if he rests it, and if 2 weeks makes a big difference for him, why not? I mean, ultimately, you do want him ready for the stretch run too. You've already dealt with what feel like even worse injuries. Why is this the one? Why is he the guy that's got to play through something?
Right.
You know, but people are going to have their opinions on it one way or another. Because if he doesn't play, people will say he's protecting the bag, and if he doesn't, he stinks up the joint. People are saying he doesn't deserve the bag. So I kind of feel like he's almost in a no-win situation.
Yeah.
Unless he has 4 interceptions.
That's the way it works, huh? That's the way it works. You play through injury. Oh, why didn't you play better? You don't play through injury. Oh, you're a bum. You don't want to play because you want to get paid. It's the business, man. It's the nature of the business.
Well, speaking of a guy who has certainly dealt with plenty of that is QB1 Tua Tagovailoa, and all reports and all signs seem to be that he is going to be making his return next week. We'll get into the status of Tua and where things stand. We'll hear a little bit from Mike McDaniel and his teammates on it. Take a break. More Game Day Uncensored after this.
This hurricane season, keep it on
Uncensored. On AM 560 Sports, WQAM. FM 99.9 HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Brought to you by South Florida Lexus dealers and the Lexus RX, the luxury SUV for those who never want to lose their edge. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer. Also sponsored by the free Odyssey app. Download it today to listen to us live or on demand. And by Edmore Sawgrass Chevrolet. Edmore Sawgrass Chevrolet is your lease return headquarters. Click EdmoreSawgrassChevrolet.com and see how you're backed by Morse when it comes to returning your lease. Ed Morse is a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
And welcome back, everybody. It's Game Day Uncensored here, 560 WQAM. Take you guys up until the 1 o'clock kick. Next hour, we will talk to Pro Football Network's Adam Beasley. We will talk to Omar Kelly around noon today, getting you all set for this week against the Indianapolis Colts. But it is tough not to have a little bit of a peeky-poo eye ahead on next week, because it does appear that Tua Tagovailoa is going to make his return. This was Mike McDaniel earlier in the week, and he was saying, he wasn't going to make any assumptions, but and is heeding the advice of the doctors with Tua. Here is Mike McDaniel early in the week.
I don't ask the doctors for play calling advice, and so I'm not going to, supersede a medical expert, that wouldn't be very smart. So once that's determined, when you make that decision that is based upon the information and supported, driven by medical experts, it's easy to, there's no really second guessing or even evaluation of should we have, or shouldn't we have. We should have, because of medical expertise, and so then you take the time to utilize the time, and I think Tua's done a great job of getting something out of a situation that is obviously not ideal. I think you don't get to choose what you go through, but you get to choose how you handle things. And he's been unbelievably diligent.
There you go. Mike McDaniel, a man who is always efficient with time. Mm-hmm. Mike McDaniel on Tua's return. Solana, a lot of national reports coming out already saying this is a done deal. Local reports as well. Tua's for sure practicing next week. No lingering effects. All that stuff is really great news for the Dolphins quarterback in what seemed like a pretty strange concussion protocol they went through this time around. Definitely feels like they went uber cautious in the early outset of the season. I don't know if it was necessarily necessary, but are you how excited should we be for this coming up next week?
Yeah, I mean, we should be thrilled as long as Tua can go. I still think, I was reading in the Miami Herald, Barry Jackson just had a column he put out this morning. He updated it with the new reports, but he did confirm that there still needs to be an authorization from 2 doctors to actually clear the final stages of concussion protocol. But just the fact that he can go out back on the field and practice and be at the final stage, and potentially clear it, which I imagine, Tobin, they're not letting him out on the practice field unless they feel 100% certain that he's going to pass the final test or whatever it is to get cleared by those 2 doctors. So I mean, look, this is positive. I have, a huge hesitancy to say this is going to be perfect, because what happens if he goes down again? He's not suiting up again this year, So I hope that doesn't happen. I pray for Tua that doesn't happen, but we'd be fools to not consider it a huge possibility. And, I think there has to be a huge question and a big time conversation for Greer and everybody moving forward about the risks here, not just for Tua. I mean, if he wants to play, it's his decision, but for the organization. Tobin, we talked about this. They set this precedent here. He goes down, you're at the very least putting him on IR.
For sure.
Because whether it's a PR move, whether it's because the Dolphins just felt like that was the best possible way for him to recover properly. I think that was the right move, by the way, from that standpoint. How do you continue to operate as an organization if your quarterback's going to get a head injury every single time? Out of an abundance of caution, you're putting him on the IR. That means every time he goes down, 4 weeks without him. How do you properly run your organization around that situation? I don't know. But for the short term, obviously, I don't want to watch this offense put up 12 points per game anymore. So, yes, I'm happy Tua's coming back.
Yeah, and that's the thing that's kind of frustrating about it, right? Is like he doesn't get treated normally like everybody else, you know? And we obviously, we all care about Tua's health and his long-term health, but there is an element to this that I think from an organization has to be frustrating, because you look at somebody like Devon Achane, and that was a brutal hit that guy took. Brutal. I mean, looked like he got knocked out twice in the air and when he hit the turf. And like there wasn't a peep about it. It's like, he's back. I'm ready to go. Teron Armstead got poked in the eye. Kendall Fuller got his bell rung as well. Right back out there a week later. But because of Tua, we all know, we know his past. We know how scary it looks when he does the fencing thing. But then you hear that he's at a concert the next day. And so we're like, all right, did we overreact to something like this? Could he have been out there a lot sooner? And they're just in a spot, right or wrong, where they do feel like with him, there's a PR factor around it as well. It's not just about his health. It's how it looks. It's optics. Because last time it felt like there was some kind of a cover-up.
To be fair, Tobin, his concussions don't look like everybody else's. And whether that's right or wrong, and whether the Dolphins need to operate because of that is right or wrong, I don't know. Okay, I don't know. But I do know that when Chris Olave goes down for like the 10th time, it feels like in his career, it doesn't make me as uneasy as watching Tua's hands cramp up and his legs move.
But it should. Like Devon Achane's 150 pounds, and he got KO'd twice, and you're like, great, he's back out there. Yeah. It's nothing. And I'm happy that he's healthy. That's the thing, is like, go out there when you're healthy to go out there. But with the Dolphins and him, it's just not the same. Like Josh Allen, we all had an ankle injury. No biggie. He's out there. Like, he did the hands thing. He got he got like folded over, and everybody's like, ankle injury, no bigs. And it's like, there's almost like a wink and a smile, but with Tua, it does feel like this is going to be something that lingers. And so I think when you see this week, like Omar writing about, is this the end of the era? Because can you function normally like this? Yeah. It's hard not, if this doesn't end almost this season with Tua ending the playoff slump, the playoff win slump, how do they not have those conversations going forward?
I'll give you a perfect example. Marvin Harrison Jr., unbelievable player. The other day, on Sunday, had a concussion, got up, and then lost his balance. Like, clearly something wasn't right up there, fell back down. He's cleared. Concussion protocol. He's playing. They play Monday night, so I guess he gets an extra day, but he cleared concussion protocol. This is very similar to what happened to Tua. We go back 2 years ago versus Buffalo. Remember, he kind of collapsed, and then everybody's outraged that they're letting him play again, even though he wasn't, quote-unquote, diagnosed with a concussion. And what happened? Short rest, Thursday Night Football. We know it was the nightmare situation where kind of started this entire thing. So you're right, man. Like, we feel differently, and we hold Tua now to a different standard than the rest of the league. And I'm with you. Is it right or wrong? Like, I guess it's wrong. I don't know for sure, but I do know that when I saw Tua on the ground again the other day, like, I don't want to see that again. I
get you. Like, we're going to be thinking about that. We're going to be thinking about that when he plays, too. We're going to be thinking about, all right, don't run for that one. Right. Is that every time his head, if he gets kind of a little bit thrown around? Because the other thing is the ones that are almost scary with him was like the Green Bay one, because it's like, oh, yeah, by the way, he couldn't remember stuff in the middle of that game. So, like, now, if he has a game where, like, he's good, then stinks. Am I going to think that he just stunk, or am I going to think, hey, he got concussed? I don't know. This is so not normal to be in a place like this. And then you had on top of it, he's also looked upon as now everybody realizes, because this offense has been so bad. Now it's like, savior, get out there, make it so we get bombs and we get fun again. Fix it. Like, go out. But I know you're coming off all this health. You have all this stuff lingering, but also you better fix it immediately. No slow roll.
Right. And to your point about the Green Bay incident, And even this most recent one against Buffalo, Tobin, these aren't big hits, man. They're not. Like I'm not saying it matters, because in the grand scheme of thing, it doesn't. Like, if this is the type of hit that causes him to have concussions and could potentially affect him long term, then it's scary no matter what. But I saw the hit Marvin Harrison Jr. took. I saw the hit Devon Achane took. I saw the hit Chris Olave took. Like, those are big time hits, man. Those are big time collisions. And for Tua, they're not. So I think that's also a factor in play here, because that Green Bay situation, the back of his head hit the bottom of the turf, but like, it wasn't like he got dragged down like in Cincy and his neck snapped back. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't this major collision. And then, against Damar Hamlin, dude led with his shoulder and he just fell backwards. So I think that's a factor at play as well.
I never want to see him run again. And it's always been a thing where he's tried to extend plays. Even his college coach, Nick Saban, has said this always happens when he tries to make something out of nothing. And respectfully, you're not Cam Ward. Like, I'm sorry. You're apparently not a magician. Like, you can't just let it go, dude. Go to the next throw. Go over the middle.
How do you win games like that? Like, I'm with you. I don't want to.
They won plenty of games last year with him not doing it. Everybody, This is the thing. They all got into this false sense. He had something that worked last year. Bulk up, take jujitsu. It worked. Stay safe, learn how to fall properly, lead the league in passing. But then everybody got this idea of, no, that he also has to be good. No, he's not good at it. He sucks at running. He's not fast, okay? He's not Anthony Richardson, who also has his own durability issues. He's not Josh Allen. He's one of the most pristine passers around the league. Sit back there, throw darts. I don't need him extend a 3rd and 5. Well, maybe he'll make it a 4th and 1. No, I'd rather him try and throw it to Cheetah the next play. It was stupid. I said it was stupid all summer. I want him in a gi on Monday morning, doing trust falls, break falls, on a mat.
In a gi?
In a gi. He better go down. He better go meet Gilbert Burns. He better go meet every jiu-jitsu instructor in South Florida. They better teach him every move, and that's what he's doing from now on. All right? No more of this running nonsense. And you better fatten up, too. You better fatten up. You go have whatever it may take. Go have some empanadas, some croquetas, whatever it takes. Enough of this skinny moving to a nonsense. Oh, I don't feel proper. Feel proper? Nothing. Get out of here. You're going to get out there. I don't want anybody being able to sling you around. I need you to throw darts and bombs.
Tobin wants to see Tua Tagovailoa at the Ventanita at La Carreta every single morning before and after practice.
It's like it's so silly. Like we're being deprived of Michael Vick. What are we doing? What is he running for?
But at some point, you're going to need to pick up a first down, Tobin. I don't know what to tell you. Like, you're going to need to.
Do it with your arm.
Okay.
Do it with your arm.
Okay.
You don't need to do it with his feet.
At some point, hey, guess what? You were 1-6 in December and January against playoff teams. You know why? Because you can't run the football. And because Tua can get out of the pocket.
Mostert can run the football. Look, there's a guy who has a statue outside the building you're playing at today. Peyton Manning. You ever heard of him? I've never seen him run in my life. Never seen him run in my life. Ever. Drew Brees, never saw him run in my life.
Him and Brady, those guys.
You ever see Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time. You ever see him run? It's embarrassing. Stop with the nonsense. Stop trying to turn him into something that he's not. He's not that. Not everybody has to be everything. Do with what you're good at. What he's good at is throwing the football. This extending plays nonsense. Oh, you got to be improvisation. No, you don't. Not if you're good at it. Not if you're good at what you do. Stick to what you're good at. Don't be mediocre at what you're not good at.
And instead of Fat Tua, all we got was double sleeve Tatua. You saw he filled out his other sleeve.
Great. Yeah, he had plenty of time. Why? Because he tried to run. Whee! Congrats. I get it. That you want to be competitive. It's stupid. Somebody have a sit down with him and tell him, hey, running, not for you. Go get the gi on. Take a break. Speaking of running the football, Dolphins did find success and may do that again against this Colts team, which is not really going to stop in the run. We'll take a break. More Game Day Uncensored coming up after this.
Football coverage on
73733.
It's another Game Day Uncensored.
And we have Dolphins football today. Fins and Colts from Indianapolis. The Dolphins won, let's call it what it was, an ugly game versus the Patriots before the bye week. But hey, a win's a win. Tyreek Hill says that win could be a stepping stone for more.
I mean, we're always happy about winning, so I think that's the most positive thing, any team will want. Obviously, the season didn't start the way, the first few games didn't start the way we wanted it to. You said it, we 3-3, but it's all about how you finish. Hopefully, down this long stretch that we got, we can put together some wins.
Mike McDaniel was asked if coming off the bye means his rested team is raring to go.
It's a lot of wear and tear on the body for all the players that sleep and rest and see your family as coaches. But generally, when you're trying to get something right, these are the rare times you're like, yeah, I do not want the bye week right now. So I do think there'll be pep just because of the eagerness. It was a highly motivated post-bye Monday practice.
And if things fall the right way, the correct answer, Mike, is yes. Dolphins game day has arrived. Time now to talk about it on Game Day Uncensored, the pregame show for real Miami football fans with Tobin and Solana, Omar and Beasley. On AM 560 Sports, WQAM, FM 99.9 HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Brought to you by South Florida Lexus dealers and the Lexus RX, the luxury SUV for those who never want to lose their edge. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer. Also sponsored by the free Odyssey app. Download it today to listen to us live or on demand. And by Edmore Sawgrass Chevrolet. Edmore Sawgrass Chevrolet is your lease return headquarters. Click EdmoreSawgrassChevrolet.com and see how you're backed by Morse when it comes to returning your lease. Ed Morse is a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
And welcome back, everybody. It's Game Day Uncensored here, 560 WQAM. Tobin here with you alongside Solana. Dan Day producing the program. You'll be able to hear Dan today. 4 p.m., Dan, is that what we're on today for Game Day Uncensored post-game edition?
No matter what, I got so much to say. 4 to 7:30. We're going an extra 30 minutes.
Going an extra 30 minutes today, and hopefully he'll be getting happy phone calls after this one as the Dolphins get ready for the Indianapolis Colts. Let's get into some keys to the game here, brought to you by Doral Hyundai. At Doral Hyundai, choose from over 1,300 new Hyundai models in inventory like the Tucson, the Sonata, and the Palisade. Remember, when it comes to Hyundai, the great deals are at Doral Hyundai. Last week, Solana, the Dolphins, they found something with their run game. They certainly found something with Raheem Mostert's return, even with Devon Achane going down, with Raheem, with Jalen Wright. There was an element they could lean on with Alec Ingold having a great fullback performance that even impressed the great Larry Zonka. It was a nice showing yesterday, 2 weeks ago by the Dolphins.
Yeah, I'm glad they actually gave Alec Ingold the football, by the way, to just punch it in, even though those of us, like myself, who had Raheem Mostert anytime touchdown prop bet, we're not happy about that because, hey, why not give it to the guy who led you in touchdowns last year at the 1 yard line? But whatever.
Greedy.
It was a cool moment for Alec Ingold. He deserved it, Tobin. He bulldozed everybody on that drive.
He was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of what have we been saying, right? Since Tua went down. Can the Dolphins play the power game? Can they just move the chains on the ground? Well, in Seattle, I mean, they couldn't do anything. And then Monday Night Football against Tennessee, you didn't see it either. And now that you have Jalen Wright, who has shown some promise doing that, you feel like you have a healthy offensive line, at least on the left side of the line. We'll see about Austin Jackson today. And you have your horses back. I think that's the way to do it, right? Like run those inside zone reads. Whether it's the outside zone or the inside zone, I don't care. Just figure out a way to move the damn ball on the ground because that's what you should do when your starting quarterback goes out. Figure out a way, and usually that way is by moving the ball on the ground, man.
And here's the thing to let everybody know, the Colts, they suck on defense.
Suck.
Statistically, they are one of the worst in the league, but particularly giving up yards on the ground. They've been really, really bad this year. second to last in the league, 155 yards per game. Second to worst, only to the to the Los Angeles Rams, who's played a less than a game than they have. Then on top of it, they're no great shakes when it comes to passing defense either. So this is a Dolphins team that looks at an Indianapolis Colts team that's essentially got the third worst defense in the league, and the Dolphins seem like they found an identity that goes right into the weakness of the Indianapolis Colts. They got exposed that today, Solana.
But I will say the Colts also this season, what's really killed them defensively has been giving up big plays, like chunk plays. And last week, they played the Titans last week, Tobin. Like they really figured out how to come away and like actually have a good defensive performance. But I will say it was against the Tennessee Titans. The Dolphins right now offensively are in that same category without Tua, obviously, where the offense has no ability to find the deep play. At least we have not seen it yet. And we know what the Colts are going to do, which is force Snoop Huntley to beat you. I think last week they saw, okay, the only way they can put together a touchdown drive, the only reason they scored more than 12 points without Tua was because they were able to figure out how to run the ball and move the chains that way. Again, on one drive. So special teams has been a disaster, Tobin. I feel like the Colts are going to say, all right, let's go see if they can prove they can beat us with just moving the ball, field position, and making Jason Sanders actually make more than one field goal in the game. And if not, Snoop Huntley, beat us for 250 yards. Go find Tyreek Hill for 30, 40, 50 plays. Go get the chunk plays. We dare you to throw those balls.
I think they should take those dares. I mean, like this team gave up 400 yards passing nearly to Trevor Lawrence, who sucks. They lost to the Jaguars. The Jaguars only win this year. By the way, Jacksonville's down 10-0 to the Patriots right now in London. I just think that, they are probably looking at the Dolphins and licking their chops and thinking they got a little bit of a slump buster, get over 500 before they go into the teeth of their tough schedule coming up here. And so they have a lot of the thoughts that Miami does. But I think that like Miami's defense has been formidable. It's been okay.
Yeah.
Is it perfect? No, but this is the thing that I think everybody's found frustrating is every single week it feels like the defense has one excuse or the other to really break, and they kind of just bend. You know, they don't get obliterated. They find a way. And the offense, it's just looked awful. And I get it. You don't have your starting quarterback, but the last win, something of that formula worked, and they got to lean on that.
Yeah, so the defense outside of the Buffalo game has looked good. I think that's the only game where, I mean, it did not look good at all. The actual, like, line play defensively was suspect. You gave up. I mean, James Cook did whatever he wanted on you. And, the secondary, it was supposed to be, I shouldn't say improved from last year, but we got Jordan Poyer, Kendall Fuller to replace Xavier Howard. You paid Jalen Ramsey. You have Javon Holland for another year. Like Kader Kohu coming back another year. Like the secondary is supposed to be more than formidable, above average, Tobin, one of the better ones in the league. And it didn't look that way against Buffalo. But outside of that game, the defense has done everything you could ask for. Even in that Buffalo game, it seemed like Buffalo got the ball every time in the short field. So, you can't look at this team right now and at any point say the defense is what's holding them back. We all know what it is. It's the offensive side of the football.
Right. And also, I mean, if you're going to like the one thing the defense hasn't been very good at this year, other than the Seattle game, is take the football away.
Right.
You know, they had the one key one against Jackson, but those are you can remember all the turnovers for the Dolphins. It hasn't been an element of their defense, but they definitely haven't gotten dish ragged. Raheem Mostert talked this week about he's back in full form. Jalen Wright, they found something. Devon Achane probably going to come back. This was him on a potential 3-headed monster backfield for Miami.
I mean, yeah, we definitely could. But, we got to focus on our individual games, of course, and we're just excited about the opportunity to go out here and try to run against the Colts. They got a good defense, though. They got Franklin at the linebacker position and speed. They both are, great linebackers that are running down, and they're pretty fast, and they're making plays for themselves. So, and then the D line, I was told that maybe Buck is coming back, DeForest Buckner. You know, I'm very familiar with him back in my San Francisco time with him. And he's a playmaker. He's a stud, and he's a guy that is gonna do everything in his power to make sure he plays a good game. So there's gonna be a challenge, but we're excited for the challenge.
For the record, that's Raheem Mostert lying. And second of all, DeForest Buckner looks like his window is going to open up next week. So does not look like the Dolphins will have to deal with Buck,
right,
as he's so affectionately known around those parts by the former 49ers. Teron Armstead, he was excited to get Raheem Mostert back last week. This was Teron on the Dolphins getting back their touchdown leader.
He's physical, man. He's violent. The defenders know that they got to bring it when they come in to try to tackle 31. Like, you look at him, you see him. He's not the biggest guy, but he's crazy strong, and his mentality that he runs with. And he's always a home run threat too, so they know they can't be late, and you can't mess around and play with when you see 31 coming through that hole.
There you go, Teron Armstead on Raheem Mostert. It was definitely exciting to see him back in the fold, Solana, and hopefully the Dolphins can expose that this week. They're gonna need it.
I hope so, man. I do like what Teron says there, though. Mostert, just violent, bro. And you don't think of him that way. They got to run the ball. But we also didn't even talk about just like Snoop Huntley figuring it out. Like, I'm cool with that, man. You know, just get him out of the boundaries and go. Just go. Get out of the hashes and go. Whatever the hell it takes to just move the chains a little bit, Tobin. Man, I don't want to watch another 15-12 win. I'm sick of it, bro. I don't know about you, Tobin. I'm sick of it, man. Give me one completion for 30 yards, please. You have the mother bleeping Cheetah. Get this guy. And Cheetah's been yapping, Tobin. Cheetah's been yapping,
all
bro.
The new AFC East wide receivers. He's ready to go showcase on what he can do. Speaking of Snoop, we will get into a little bit of the Dolphins' backup QB. Adam Beasley going to join us later on this hour as well. More Game Day Uncensored. Back after this.
WQ casting live from the Ed Moore Sawgrass Auto Mall Studios.
and the Lexus RX, the luxury SUV for those who never want to lose their edge. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer. Also sponsored by the free Odyssey app. Download it today to listen to us live or on demand. And by Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac. When it comes to returning your lease, Edmore's has your back. Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac is your lease return headquarters. Click EdmoreSawgrassCadillac.com. Edmore's is a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Game Day Uncensored here on 560 WQAM. Tobin and Solana here with you, getting you ready for Week 7 against the Indianapolis Colts. Miami Dolphins going to have Snoop Huntley out there again at quarterback. Solana, what did you make of his performances last time around? Do you feel like Snoop getting a hang of this?
Yeah, he looks more comfortable, right? I think we talked about it earlier, Tobin. At the bar was set low. All right, let's start there. The bar was set low, but I mean, he certainly looked more comfortable. He didn't look like a deer in headlights. I guess that's the best way to put it. He didn't look like he had zero concept of how to run the team, which is kind of the way it looked on Monday Night Football. The Dolphins on that first drive against Tennessee, they're driving first completion of Waddle 17 yards, and you're saying, "Oh, okay." All right, is this going to actually work? And then Tyreek Hill fumbles the ball, and then everything after that just looked like absolute diarrhea.
Yep.
So it didn't look like that on in New England in Foxborough. I think, the hope is another week, a bye week.
Yep.
He should understand the offense even more, and he's not going to look like a guy who has only been reading this playbook for 2 weeks. That's the hope.
Yeah, I mean, that is the one benefit of the bye week. It stings because the Dolphins technically have to wait another week for Tua. But it does at least give Snoop that opportunity to get in the playbook and figure some things out. It sounded like he tried to get some guys here off the bye. I don't know how many guys actually did come in off the bye, but he's doing all the right things. I mean, it's funny, we're talking about the Dolphins and where they're at with their backup QBs. The Colts, they probably have one of the more ideal backup situations in the league. They prepared because they had a quarterback coming off of vicious injuries. Crazy thought. Very interesting strategy by them to be prepared for disaster. Who would have thought? What a just absolute brilliant job of preparation by them. The Dolphins are now in this situation where they're like, yeah, we'll just, we had a guy here for 3 years. We think that he's ready. He wasn't ready. And so they've been kind of swimming upstream ever since.
But Tobin, man, look at the Saints. Not that, I want to be the Saints, but their third string quarterback is putting up points for them.
Yep.
They're moving the football. They're getting 27 points in a game with Spencer Rattler. I'm not telling you I want Spencer Rattler. Dan Day, you're shaking your head. I mean, of course they are.
You can hop on, Dan. Let us see, because Dan is Saints
first
fan.
of all, there was a ton of turnovers. The defense scored those points. They scored 27 points in one quarter, and most of them were on defense. It was not Spencer Rattler, and they got skull drug by the Denver Broncos the other night. Did you not watch that terribleness? So that is not a good backup quarterback.
But did you watch that, Dan? Because it was like I saw Alvin Kamara say, "I've never seen Superdome empty out like that."
Dan, I understand what you're saying. And again, I'm not telling you I want the Dolphins to be the Saints, but my point is you're looking at teams all around the league work with backup quarterbacks, in some cases like the Saints, third string quarterbacks, and they're putting up more than 12 points per game.
Yeah.
The Dolphins are putting up 12 points per game and averaging like 200 yards of total offense, and their quarterbacks can't get anything going. And I was just using Spencer Rattler as an example, and you're right. It was 27 points. It was 27 points in one quarter.
All the national pundits are out there. He scored 27 points. It's like, did you watch the game? No, it was defensive points, and it was in one quarter.
But Dan, one touchdown for Spencer Rattler. He threw the ball 40 times. He had 243 yards.
Yeah.
The Dolphins over 2 games didn't have 243 yards of offense total, it seemed like. I mean, that was my only point with using the Saints there.
Well, either way, they need to hope that he has even more of a grasp on it, because it hasn't been pretty, but it was better. It was better than the maiden voyage on that. Mike McDaniel earlier this week, he said that the difference night and day for old Snoop.
For all parties involved, it is a night and day difference, because we're working together to improve results day in, day out, week in, week out. And I think Snoop has really done a fantastic job becoming a part of our team in a way where teammates needed him to continue to develop, and he has. And I look forward to seeing what he does today, because what I've learned from him is that tomorrow he'll have an even better day and continue to stack through the week. So very, very valuable information. That there's a lot in the previous games that you learned more and more each game, but it is you feel more convicted in what you're doing, play in, play out, when you have the nuanced information.
I always feel like I'm holding on for dear life to one. When is the end? When I don't want to drive off the cliff here, Mike.
We should play over under on time of Mike McDaniel's
over
responses. Tobin, I would just like to point out, I have scratched off Saints and Spencer Rattler from my conversation list, because Dan Day was ready to punch me.
Rightfully so. They've lost 5 straight.
He was ready to punch me the F out.
We were all like, "Oh my God, this is the greatest 2 weeks of football we've ever seen from the Saints," and now they have had a dreadful crash down to earth.
Yeah.
With some brutal injuries that they've had to deal with as well. But we'll talk it all with Adam Beasley, Pro Football Network. Our guy B is going to stop by, and we will get more into all angles of this Dolphins-Colts matchup after this.
This hurricane season, keep an eye
let's get back to Game Day Uncensored on AM 560 Sports, WQAM, FM 99.9 HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Brought to you by South Florida Lexus dealers and the Lexus RX, the luxury SUV for those who never want to lose their edge. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer. Also sponsored by the free Odyssey app. Download it today to listen to us live or on demand. And by Edmore Sawgrass Buick GMC. No matter where you lease your vehicle, bring it to Edmore Sawgrass Buick GMC, your lease return headquarters. It's all a part of being backed by Morse. Click EdmoreSawgrassBuickGMC.com, a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
And welcome back, everybody. It is Game Day Uncensored here. 560 WQAM. We will take you guys all the way up to our kickoff against the Indianapolis Colts Week 7. Let us talk to Pro Football Network's Adam Beasley on the program. Hello, Bees.
Gentlemen, welcome to Week 7.
Oh, well, thank you for the welcoming. Hopefully it gets better than it has been for the Jaguars so far, although it looks like they're storming back a little bit. Shad Khan does not look like he's having a good time. Oh, they're leading now. Look at that.
How did that team get that bad? Like, just they lost like 13 or 14 or something.
Brutal. They have taken the lead though, so good for them. Oh, how about that? Look at them. They're using that London home field advantage or something. Bees, this matchup against the Colts. I guess the first thing off the bat, did the Dolphins get a break here? That Anthony Richardson is starting. I don't really know what to make of it. Obviously, he's got all the physical tools possible, but this is his 9th pro game. We haven't seen a lot of them.
It's like his 16th game since high school or something insane, right?
Yeah.
Statistically, yes, the Dolphins get an enormous break by Anthony Richardson starting. We had this stat in our game preview with Flacco on the field this year. They have a .08 EPA, which is 6th best in the league. They're basically the Buccaneers. The Niners are really good offense with Joe Flacco on the field. And when he's not on the field, it's minus .02, which is a bottom half offense. So it's a huge advantage. Now, part of me as a Dolphins observer for a very long time remembers all these mobile quarterbacks that absolutely roast the Miami Dolphins. Most recently, Lamar Jackson. What was that in Week 17 last year? So it's not like, this is a gimme game for them by any stretch of the imagination. But no Joe Flacco and no Jonathan Taylor, I think, is a best-case scenario for the Dolphins.
Yeah, no Jonathan Taylor's huge, obviously. But, Bees, doesn't this feel like a season where, okay, Anthony Richardson, he's made some throws that wow you. Week 1, he threw the ball like 92 yards in the air, whatever the hell it was, and it was spectacular. But we know he's also had his shortcomings, not just the injuries, but he's also kind of thrown some of the worst passes we've seen outside of Will Levis this year. Doesn't this season just lead to today being the AR breakout game where everybody's like back on the AR bandwagon? I'm with everybody, right? Because we were talking about this with Crowder on the show this week, where he's like, this is best case scenario for the Dolphins, and I don't want AR to get hurt because he needs to stay on the field. No Joe Flacco, and I'm with everybody. You just read the stats. But this just feels like one of those seasons where today it's going to be Anthony Richardson's like big game that establishes another great long career by a quarterback.
Yeah, and it doesn't sound like we're going to see Javon Holland today. He's doubtful, and they elevated Nick Needham from the practice squad yesterday. So all that would suggest that there'd be no Holland, which is not great when you need somebody on the back end keeping an eye on Anthony Richardson. If you believe in jinxes, hexes, all those things, and you think the Dolphins are perpetually cursed, but particularly this year, he's going to go for 350 and 4 touchdowns.
They did find something with the run game the last win, Bees, in New England. This Colts defense has not been very good this year, particularly with stopping the run. What can the Dolphins find there to control this game?
Yeah, they've really missed DeForest Buckner not being out there for them this year. And to your point there, you gotta this should have been the day that you named Snoop Huntley your starter, but it took him a couple of, few halves to figure it out. Go under center, run play action, run some bootlegs, which is like the bread and butter of the Mike Shanahan offense. How many bootlegs have we seen this year for the Dolphins run? I can't think of one. Like, seriously, I can't think of a single boot they've run all year. Do that kind of stuff. They're throw early downs off play action. That should be how that every single throw they have Huntley do today, as long as they're not playing a catch-up game, is controlled, you throw the ball on first down, your odds of success go through the absolute roof. You get in 3rd and long, and you don't want him playing a drop back game. You just don't. So get ahead of the sticks, run the football. We saw what they have 41 carries, I think, against the Patriots. It was the second time, I think, only since the beginning of the Mike McDaniel era they've had 40 plus carries. Fun fact: the other one was the Broncos game. We think that game was a wide open, throw the ball down the field game, but they ran the hell out of the ball that game. So more of that is needed. Just get us through to week 8. If you had told me when Tua went down, 3-3, Tua's back, guys, there's a chance they're the 7 seed when we go to bed tonight. Like, seriously, if they win and the Chargers lose, they're the 7 seed going into week 8. You have that. At worst, you're a game and a half behind the Bills. I've checked the standings, but they're not completely out of touch either. And then you get Tua back. Sign me up for that. I think that's the best case scenario, and that's in front of them. They could do that. The Colts are an eminently beatable team. I mean, I think they're better than the Dolphins right now, but they're a beatable team, and you can go up there and get that win. And everything we've talked about, losing our minds over the 3-game losing streak and all that, it's kind of irrelevant. Certainly there'd be continuing concerns about the offense if they don't show up today. But you get Tua back and you start rolling. I think the defense, really good, guys. I mean, they're top 5 in a lot of very important metrics. They're going to continue to have trouble getting pressure on the quarterback without blitzing until Bradley Chubb gets back. But here's the secret. Anthony Richardson sucks against the blitz. Like, you bring the house against him and he kind of folds. So I think that's the game we're going to see on both sides.
Yeah, Bees, Tobin and I were talking about this earlier. And perhaps it's a bit, an exaggerated statement, but this feels like the most important game of the season for everything you just said. And one of the most important games of Mike McDaniel's career. I understand playoff games and all that stuff are more important. We want to see him beat above 500 teams, 1-6 last year, all that stuff. But man, like, as bad as this team looked after going out there in Seattle and then Monday Night Football with Tennessee without Tua Tagovailoa, as bad as it looked, and the conversations we were having, the three of us were having on Gameday Uncensored, was like, this era perhaps is coming to an end. At least we were thinking about it. And now, look, you're beating 2 bad teams. If they can win today by a toe against New England, whatever, like, you got the win. It almost seems like, not that we wash away those thoughts and those doom thoughts, but at the very least, we're at a place where Tua comes back. Best case scenario, you're a playoff team again, and he stays healthy. All those conversations we thought were going to be prevalent by the end of the season are certainly not prevalent. And by the way, a couple jobs are at least not on the line anymore.
Yeah, no. And again, I don't think it, completely erases the fact that there's the offense we saw in week 1 and first half of week 2 is still bad. Right. Like, it wasn't like, oh my God, they were lighting it up. It's the 2023 Dolphins all over again. That wasn't the case. But I do think they're going to get, the offensive line hasn't been bad. It hasn't been great, but it hasn't been bad. Knock on wood, the fact that Teron Armstead stayed healthy has been, I think we don't talk enough about how good of a freaking left tackle that guy is. I mean, he's really, really good. Having him out there has helped. Maybe they start to actually commit to the run even when Tua's back. I'd like to see them go under center with him too. I know he prefers shotgun, but guys, when you go under center, it opens up so much stuff. Like, really, it does. The linebacker keys when you go under center. If you run a good play action game, it's so effective. So I think they kind of showed us who they can be. 2 weeks ago, it feels like forever ago they played a game, but 2 weeks ago they showed us who they can be, and I think that's who they need to be even when Tua comes back. I don't want to be a team. I want the Dolphins to be a team that throws the ball 40 times a game. I don't think that's where they're most effective. And people forget, like, Mike McDaniel made his bones on the running game.
Yeah.
Like, that's really what his strength was for years and years and years and years. I don't think you need to throw out all that success he's had. Just be a power running team that plays play action and throws the ball at Tyreek and Waddle. And that's a pretty good winning formula when you have a defense that's not bad at all.
I don't mean to be rude here because I know you have to interact with these people, but
what a way to start a question, Toby.
Danny Crossman, dude.
Okay.
This special teams unit. Whew, I mean, they invent new ways to screw up.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to measure special teams metrics, but they're in the bottom of a lot of them for his run here. What's the deal here, dude? Like, what do we have to do to get this thing right? And like, how much more can they take of like just these? Dude, they just come up with new blunders to make on special teams. It's crazy.
Well, get ready for another today, right, Bees? Because our long snapper, I think, was born before World War II. So, like,
yes. I saw the tweet that the college he went to, which is, I don't know, Western Kentucky, not Western Kentucky, but some college I'd never heard of, doesn't have a football program anymore. That's how long ago he attended college. So Matt Overton is his name, 39 years old. He is a former Pro Bowler, guys. He went to the Pro Bowl in 2013, so there's a fun fact.
2013?
Yeah, yes. And
I was still in high school in 2013.
It was a long time ago. And he has not snapped in a professional game since 2022.
Oh my
God. Look, we don't know what's going on, obviously, with Blake Ferguson. The fact that he missed practice Friday with personal reasons and then was put on the illness list, I don't want to speculate, but something's going on there that's probably not great for him. So I'm going to have a lot of sympathy and grace for him. That snap he skipped was almost could have cost him the game. Like, they could have lost because of that, right? If, to your point, they won by a toe, you wouldn't have come to that if you had made that field goal. So we'll see what Matt Overton can do. But to your point, if history is any guide, it's catastrophe for the special teams, because they are like, I mean, how many times have they been penalized? You think about this. Like, I think they have like 12 or 13 special teams penalties this year. I mean, it's crazy. Absolutely insane.
I would kill for Darren Rizzi at this point. Like, I would be like, how does Rizzi always hang around? But this Crossman dude, like, his special teams units are like inventing new ways to blow it up, dude. I'm like, what is going on?
Punt block. Like, when's the last time you saw a punt get blocked? Like, in the NFL, like, the level of competence is so high in the NFL that to get a punt block, you got to screw up so bad. I mean, we really have. You know who's the best special teams player they've had this year? And it's funny, but it's Braxton Berrios. Like, he's the only guy that actually makes any plays for that special teams. Jason Sanders, I think the ball's got a magnet to the goalpost when he kicks it. I mean, he just doinks all. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And it's not a coincidence, right? It's not just, it's a one-off. It's a kooky start to the season. To your point, like, they've been. PFF has grades, and Rick Goslin, who's out of Dallas, and he's got like kind of like the special teams guru. He's had them the bottom 5 the last 3-4 years. I don't know, and honestly, I don't know how he's continued. Crossman is to survive in that job. I thought if there was a time to move on, it was the bye. Now, I mean, I think at some point too, the player's got to make plays, but
for sure.
But there's been one common thread for the last 3 years, and it's been the same dude coaching that unit.
Hey, Bees, I know you had written an article on Pro Football Network where you made the case for Anthony Weaver, best coach that the Dolphins have had this season. I agree, and I know we just talked about the defense. They've looked very good this year considering the circumstances. But what do we make of Cam Smith at this point? Like, second-round pick. I know last year, whatever the situation was with Fangio, And like, I'm sympathetic to the fact that the dude's banged up, right? Like, I get it, but the week for or he has like a week left to make his return off the IR after like the 21 days or whatever. And I think he's out again for today. So like, what do we make here? Is it just, he's just too injured to play, or is there something greater keeping him off the field?
I think it's a numbers game. They really like, and again, this is kind of an indictment on the draft pick, obviously, but they like Storm Duck more. And he's been a good player. And I think he hasn't been, the reason he's still on IR isn't because a hamstring takes 2 months to recover from, right? That's silly. The reason he's on IR is they have corners that they don't want to put at risk to waivers. And so I think it's basically, you can get by with another week of stashing him on that list so you don't maybe lose Ethan Bonner. And that's kind of what it is. And they're going to have to make a choice. And, it's a weird way to say it, but they've been saying, okay, Cam Smith's our insurance policy in case somebody else gets hurt. And so we're not going to, pull that trigger, so to speak, and possibly lose Ethan Bonner before we have to. And so maybe, knock on wood, it doesn't happen, but maybe someone gets hurt this week and the problem resolves, like it fixes itself. But no, you can't. If they put him on season-ending IR with a hamstring as a former second-round pick who had like 11 snaps or whatever it was on defense last year, That's really, it's no Monogamy all over again. And I think it's sad because he seems like a talented guy, but I don't know how he wouldn't be able to put it together. But no, if he were better, a better player, not in better health, if he was better, he'd be on the active roster right now.
What do you make of this year's rookie class? Because you mentioned Storm Duck. Has he been the best rookie so far?
Yeah, I mean, I think Chop has been really good, guys, and I know his numbers don't show it. But
they never show it.
No, they never show it. Like they draft. You know what Chop reminds me of? To be honest, he reminds me of one of these old school, early 2000s Patriots linebackers that just always in the right place. Sets the edge fine. He's good in coverage, does all the things he needs to do, but he just doesn't explode on. He doesn't make those splash plays. Like he's just a solid player. And do you think maybe you could have gotten better from that for the 21st overall pick? Maybe. Certainly, it's they could have used the help on the offensive line, I think. But I don't think if you pick outside the top 10, you're just hoping the guys like a Chop Robinson, who is a dependable starter that can help you. And I think he's going to get more opportunities to pass rush. His pressure rate's good. I mean, it's not like he's not getting pressure on the quarterback. He just, to your point, in college never got home, and he hasn't yet in the NFL either. I don't know if he's ever going to be a 12, 15 sack a year guy. I don't know if that's his game, but he is going to be disruptive, and he makes the defense better. So, yeah, I think Storm's been excellent, but Jalen Wright's a really good player too. As bad as their draft classes have been, 2022, 2023, and a lot of it was because they didn't have any picks. I think this class is good. Steve Patrick Paul, maybe, thankfully he hasn't had to play very much, but if he does play, I think he'll be fine. I like what they put together, and it really does stand in contrast to what they did the previous 2 years.
Hey, Bees, before we let you go, and by the way, I kind of want to get your prediction too, because the last 2 weeks you picked the Dolphins to win against Tennessee, and they didn't. But then, you've kind of stuck with them. But who got better in the AFC East this past week? Is it the Jets with Devontae Adams, or is it the Bills with Amari Cooper? I think the Bills are just a better team overall. Yeah. But I wonder, what your grades were for those trades or whatever. Who came away with the better team?
Well, I mean, the Bills had incredible value. Like, you look at that Amari Cooper contract, and I think they're paying the dude like $1 million the rest of the season. I mean, the value they got for that player is through the roof. So they had better trade because it was, better value for the team. The Jets are weird, man. Do we think? I think they're such a mess that Devontae Adams isn't going to make a difference. Like, they're just the Jets. And yeah, certainly Mike Williams would have run a better route. Maybe they would have, won that Bills game or whatever. But he's 31 years old now. It's not Devontae Adams of 6 years ago, I don't think. So
it's an Aaron Rodgers smoke bomb. It's like it's the whole thing. It's so crazy because it's like the whole thing is just meant to protect Aaron Rodgers.
It's crazy.
It's what it feels like.
Yeah. So, look, I mean, 2-4 is not out of it by any stretch of the imagination in this terrible AFC. I mean, I think the AFC has the better top end talent, the top end teams, but the NFC is a much deeper conference. Like the 10 or 11 seed right now in the NFC would kick the butts of the 7 seed in the AFC.
But it wasn't supposed to be like that, right? Bees, yeah. Like, I mean, the AFC was supposed to be the deeper team and with the better top heavy talent too. But I mean, the Colts haven't looked good. The Dolphins have sucked. Like the Jets have sucked. I mean, all the teams that you kind of thought whether going to make
the Jags have been the biggest surprise to me. Like I don't know. You guys were saying they went ahead, but I mean, they're struggling with the Patriots. That's just like that is stunning to me how bad that team is. Right. And I thought that they would be better. So yeah, and we'll see. The Bengals are surprising. Like this, you thought they would be better than they are, and I think they are. I think they are better than what their record is.
The Browns,
the Browns. Could you, like everyone? We talk about the Tua situation, but could you imagine if we had Deshaun down here now?
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine how awful these shows would be if every morning we had to get up and talk about Deshaun Watson? And not just him being a horrendous person, but a horrendous player. I mean, it's just, thank you, Stephen Ross, for showing a little bit of restraint, right? Yeah. For not just going whole hog and going for the guy. And thank you, Mike McDaniel, for figuring out that Tua could be a good player, because holy God, that'd be an awful existence. So I do not envy, like Daniel Ofusi, who used to cover the Dolphins for the Herald, went up there, covers the Browns for ESPN. I mean, talk about leveling down. Yeah, that is a terrible assignment he has.
Yeah.
He's Adam Beasley. Go follow his work, Pro Football Network, at Adam H. Beasley on X. We'll take a break. Continue on with Gameday Uncensored after this.
Football coverage on WQA.
WKIS HD2 Boca Raton, an Odyssey sports station.
Powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys.
Call 1-800-747-FREE.
That's 1-800-747-3733.
It's another Game Day Uncensored.
Well, the bye week has come and gone. The Dolphins are back on the field today, facing the Colts in Indianapolis. All right, it's been less than a stellar start for the Fins, but they're going to try to keep the winning going. Mike McDaniel says it ain't how you start, it's how you finish.
2-3 isn't the worst thing in the world. When you look at the way I look at it, if the mission never changes, if you're trying to get to make sure your best football is in December and January, what does that look like in September and or October? It's all on what the team makes it.
And while there was some Tua news this week, Tyler Huntley will get the start today. Jalen Waddle is good with that until Tua returns.
He did great, for being here on a short time. He really came in and, learned the offense. And not only learned the offense, you got to learn the receivers and different players. So it's tough coming in. And then we play some really good teams while he's been, so just getting him used to throwing to us, timing, all these motions. And he's doing good, man. Doing great.
Snoop is ready to make it happen.
Man, I'm just looking at the opportunities, just working to win this game this week, and that's all I could control.
Hey, we want you to win too, Snoop. Time to get moving. Time for Game Day Uncensored, the pregame show for real Miami football fans. Tobin and Solana with Omar and Beasley on AM 560 Sports, WQAM, FM 99.9 HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Brought to you by South Florida Lexus dealers and the Lexus RX, the luxury SUV for those who never want to lose their edge. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer. Also sponsored by the free Odyssey app. Download it today to listen to us live or on demand. And by Edmore Sawgrass Chevrolet. Edmore Sawgrass Chevrolet is your lease return headquarters. Click EdmoreSawgrassChevrolet.com and see how you're backed by Morse when it comes to returning your lease. Ed Morse is a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
And welcome back, everybody. Game Day Uncensored continues here. We got our third hour of preseason coverage for you. Miami Dolphins taking on the Indianapolis Colts. Indianapolis. Oof, what a city. Where did you get to go for your media day?
I was in, where'd I go? Oh, Dallas. That's right. I was in Dallas.
Dallas is no great shakes, but it's way better than Indianapolis.
All I did was try Whataburger once. It was my first time doing that. I go on these food assignments for Mark Hochman. Like that's what he has me do. So I had Whataburger and I loved it. So I had it again. And then I tried to go out a couple nights, by yourself in Dallas. It was just a weird vibe. But I've been to Indy more than once, and I have no real plans of going back there, Tobin. I'm not gonna lie.
Dude, the thing about Dallas that I'll always remember is walking. Myself, Hochman, and Crowder all decided, hey, why don't we walk back from our hotel from the American Airlines Center?
Mm-hmm.
Really stupid.
Yeah, I've heard this story several times. I guess that was Crowder's doing, because you guys could have just gotten an Uber. This wasn't.
I don't know.
30 years ago.
I don't remember what led to us doing that. I think we were having trouble getting an Uber, and then we're just like, why don't we take a walk? It's a lovely night. Why don't we take a walk? And we did that. And like I said, not a great city. It was not we got the inner lookings of it. It was not.
Mm-hmm.
I did try Whataburger as well. It was all right. I was more of an In-N-Out guy. I got to try In-N-Out while I was there, and I enjoyed that much better.
All right. That's controversial, but okay. All right.
I'm just saying. Let's get to our player to watch, which is brought to you by the Lexus RX, the luxury SUV for those who never want to lose their edge. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer. So a couple things you have to watch. We'll get some answers real soon here on the actives and inactives. Emmanuel Ogbah is dealing with a bicep injury. He's listed as questionable. David Long, he's questionable with a knee injury. Javon Holland is the interesting one. He was limited in practice all week. He's doubtful, Solana, which leads you to believe he's probably not going to play in this matchup against the Indianapolis Colts. And I'm not going to sit here and blame him for it. You're playing with a broken hand. It just happened. Give it the right time to heal. I'm okay with it. but he's trying this week. He does feel like a guy who is trying to work through it.
Yeah, I mean, you credit him, right? Because, bro, there's no Tobin, if Javon Holland had surgery, has a broken bone in his hand, if this week he sat out of practice and he was, out for the next 2 games, nobody would question it. Nobody would say, oh, why isn't he playing? I mean, dude, the guy literally has a broken bone. Nobody would question it. The fact that he's trying, I think, you have to give him major props. I told you earlier, I don't see why he would play here and perhaps make the injury worse. But I guess as a DB, you don't need both of your hands. Like, I mean, you would like him to have them so he could try to intercept the ball. But, I mean, give him a club. He can knock a ball down, bro,
He is good at that. He is good at forcing fumbles. This was Javon Holland earlier in the week. And Snowman says he doesn't really know how it's going to feel if he tried to play with a cast on his hand.
Presumably, yeah. I've never really done it before, so it's my first time. But, yeah, I mean, I'm going to assume it's going to be a little difficult, you know what I mean, if I have to club it, or I'm not really sure yet. So, but, yeah, I'm gonna assume it's going to be a little hard. Catch the ball and whatnot because, it's kind of in the way. What?
There you go. Javon Holland. Not sure. He doesn't know. He doesn't know how this is going to feel.
Hey, Tobin, there's a situation at Lucas Oil Stadium right now, which is where the game is being played today.
What's going on?
So Angela Morion, who is a sports anchor reporter for a local network in Indianapolis, she tweets out a picture of the actual dome. So for those of you who haven't been to Lucas Oil Stadium, it's a dome, but it has a retractable roof. Kind of like Hard Rock Stadium. You know how like the stands are covered by a roof, but then the actual field is open. Lucas Oil Stadium can be covered completely, but the roof open so that the
I didn't know that
field. Me neither.
I thought it was just a dome.
Me too. So she tweets out current situation here at Lucas Oil Stadium. The east half of the roof won't open, so they will be closing the whole thing for the game against Miami this afternoon. The window remains open for now. So I guess they were going to open up the stadium, but there seems to be some sort of technical issue with the roof, which is bizarre. And I guess we're getting a dome for today's game.
Weird. Yeah, that is. I didn't even know that was an option. I gotta be honest with you. I had no idea when I walked in there that you could retract that place. I just figured Indianapolis is miserable. They just wanted a dome. They always had a dome.
I had no idea either. But now I'm looking at that picture, and it also seems like there's an opening as well behind the stands. So I don't know if this is like a full dome or a half.
So like
dome.
a la like Marlins Park, the windows can open too.
Correct. Right.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. That's interesting. I didn't know. It is a nice stadium. It's about the only nice thing in Indianapolis. It kind of looks like a warehouse for those who haven't been there. It's like got a lot of brick. It's a cool looking building objectively. But I had no idea that you were able to open the roof there. How often have they done that in their tenure?
I can't imagine much, but I guess today it's like 70 degrees or 75
beautiful
degrees.
There.
It's a beautiful, it's a football day, as they say. Yeah.
Anthony Weaver, Miami Dolphins defensive coordinator, he gave some thoughts this week on the Dolphins taking on Anthony Richardson at quarterback. And, as everybody says when they think about Anthony Richardson, physical freak. Here is Anthony Weaver on the Colts QB they're facing.
When he pulls the ball down to run, I mean, he looks like John Riggins, right? He's enormous. He's big. He runs through people. And then he has a hose for an arm. So, I mean, the throw he made against Houston, which was like 70 yards in the air or something falling backwards, is incredible. So just his skill set, his physical attributes, he is certainly still maturing as a player, but I think his ceiling is incredibly high.
There you go. Anthony Weaver on Anthony Richardson.
It is funny what we all do, though, right? Like, bro, that throw was stupid.
Oh, it was amazing.
It was amazing. Well, all we do is we keep going. Everybody's like, oh, because I've done it like 8 times today. That throw, I mean, he can throw it 180 yards. I mean, he had that one good throw. I also saw a couple throws from Anthony Richardson this year where it was embarrassing.
Solana. Remember he threw it into triple coverage, but there was no guy for his own team.
Triple coverage. There was one play in the red zone, right, Dan, where like I don't know what he was doing. He had a chance to win the game. I think it was week 2. And Tobin, he threw it to the other team. He just threw it to the other team.
Look, I'm not going to sit here and act like I've watched every Anthony Richardson game because I haven't. I would be lying to you people if I did. I found it to be fascinating that he was getting taken as high as he was because he had so little college experience, and everybody was like, nah, he's shooting up the charts. I was like, he is? I was confused by that. But he's got a lot of durability issues for being as big as he is. He's been banged up in his career. You know, we try and do this with the Tua thing, and it's like, oh, you can see why Tua gets hurt. He just seems too small for the sport, or he seems smaller than the average QB. This guy is a monster, and he's hurt all the time. This is only going to be his 9th professional game. He's already been knocked out twice in his career. Trevor Lawrence was telling him last year, he's like, you can't play like that. You're going to get hurt. And the rare Trevor Lawrence W, he was absolutely right on that one. So I'm not chalking anything up because I don't think this Dolphins team is good enough to chalk anything up, but it does feel somewhat like they're getting a break here with instead of riding high with a Joe Flacco.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a break because of the uncertainty factor. You know what I mean, Tobin? I agree. Joe Flacco gives the Colts a better chance to win. There's no doubt about that. But I mean, Anthony Richardson can hurt this team on the ground, right? So if he's going to hand the ball off, you can't just kind of have your linebackers blitz and expect that the running back is going to get the ball, because what if he keeps it? Now all of a sudden he can get out onto the edges and go get a chunk play. And yeah, I mean, he can make some throws that make you say, wow. What I do want to see today, we were talking about the defense and how they've been really good this year. But the one, I guess, exception you could say or criticism has been that they haven't forced many turnovers. Well,
right.
Like today, this is a guy that you can definitely force into making some mistakes. And I would love to see the secondary, or, you know what, whether it's Sealer again, or if Ogba ends up suiting up, like whoever, if you got to catch it with your butt cheeks again, Ogba, just figure it out, man. Like, let's get some turnovers today. Make Snoop Huntley's job a little bit easier.
Oh, of course. You know, that is what feels like the opportunity here more so than anything. I don't know if it translates or not, but you know, you think about a guy like Anthony Weaver, and you know, you got to think in training camps, like, listen, this guy had plenty of experience seeing a Lamar Jackson, who's like the best version of what an Anthony Richardson can be, and he's not Lamar Jackson, but like he knows what it's like to see a dual threat quarterback. And what are the best ways to contain that, or what other teams are trying to do, and all those types of things. So I think Weaver's been really good this year. And I do think that he's already had to deal with adversity of, you know, he gets Jalen Phillips on a pitch count. Then he loses Jalen Phillips. Emmanuel Ogba's had a really good season. Now Emmanuel Ogba's hurt. The Dolphins certainly got to be kicking themselves with letting Van Ginkel walk out the door. But this coach hasn't made any excuses about it. So we'll see. We'll see what he could do in this upcoming matchup. One guy that he may have to rely on more is Chop Robinson. Do a little rookie check on the Fins as we are this many games into the season. What is this draft class looking like? And Anthony Weaver gave some thoughts on Chop Robinson's progress thus far. Gameday Uncensored rolls on after this.
AM broadcasting live from the Ed Moore Sawgrass
M560 Sports, WQAM, FM 99.9 HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Brought to you by South Florida Lexus dealers and the Lexus RX, the luxury SUV for those who never want to lose their edge. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer. Also sponsored by the free Odyssey app. Download it today to listen to us live or on demand. And by Edmore Sawgrass Chevrolet. Edmore Sawgrass Chevrolet is your lease return headquarters. Click EdmoreSawgrassChevrolet.com and see how you're backed by Morse when it comes to returning your lease. Ed Morse is a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
Welcome back, everybody. It's game day. Uncensored here, 560 WQAM. Tobin here with you alongside Alejandro Solana. Gameday producing our program. We take you guys up until the 1 o'clock kickoff, week 7 against the Indianapolis Colts. Omar Kelly going to join us next hour. We will talk to Omar on all things leading into this week. Thanks again to Adam Beasley for stopping by earlier. You just sent me a tweet, Solana. We have Roofgate going on in Indianapolis. What's the latest?
Yeah, so Jim Irsay, the team's very, I should say, polarizing owner. He's mad. Okay, so Jim Irsay tweets out, roof closed in all caps, quote, due to operational issues. He puts that in quotes. He says, very disappointing. Apologies to our fans. Window opens. The window he's referring to is the window we were talking about, kind of like Lone Depot Park where the Marlins play, where like they can actually have part of the stadium open behind where the fans sit. But as you text me, Tobin, somebody, a rich billionaire owner tweets out, very disappointing. He's mad at somebody.
Oh, yeah.
He's pissed off, man.
Well, you think about how I don't know what the Indianapolis, I don't know what Lucas Oil Stadium's financial situation was. Like, I don't know if that was a one where he got a lot of tax dollars for it. But either way, when a ornery billionaire who, has had some poor behavior in his past, when he tweets out, very disappointing, someone's getting fired. I'm just saying it. Like, I don't know which guy is getting fired. I don't know who's going to be the fall guy. But that tells me immediately Jim Irsay is like, oh, not good. You know, he was getting ready to enjoy his roof being opened in this beautiful late October day in Indianapolis, and you tweet out very disappointing. Stay away from him if you work for the Colts.
Yeah, just stay away. Especially, man, the tweet is so funny because he writes roof closed in all caps, and then for whatever reason he puts the due to operational issues. He leaves the quotations behind it. So to me, it's almost like he's saying,
don't believe it.
I don't know why, but this seems bogus to me. All right. This seems totally bogus to me. So he thinks somebody's getting canned, bro.
There's definitely like a part of him that thinks that we should send somebody up on a bungee cord and like he should be able to push the other side of the roof open or get it dislodged. Like this is like it's a zipper on a tricky backpack.
Right. He's just like, just figure it out. Who cares? Just figure it out. Pull it if you have to. Who cares? Put the damn open up the damn roof already. This is funny though. Like somebody sent us a comment on our Twitch stream. This whole season has been weird so far, and I don't know if they're referring to this, but this is just another thing that happens to the Dolphins, right? Like all year, you've just had the weirdest circumstances. Starting week 1, where Tyreek Hill is getting detained outside of the stadium in Miami Gardens. Like weird bleep just surrounds this Dolphins team.
Well, look, there's a reason everybody thinks they're cursed ever since being everybody that does think they are legitimately cursed. And there has been not a lot of evidence that has pushed against that recently. Solana, we are going to have our eyes on Chop Robinson today. We had Bees on. I asked him, who does he think the best rookie has been? He says Chop has been really good so far. Anthony Weaver, he says that his best game was against New England. Here was the Dolphins defensive coordinator on Chop.
I thought his last game was his best game to date. You talk about setting the edge, falling back, playing gap and a half, impacting the passer, which we obviously expected and know that he can do. I'm pleased with his trajectory and how he's grown so far this season. I know the sack hasn't been there yet, but he's close. And like I tell all rushers, like they come in bunches, right? Like as soon as you get that first one, they usually get a bunch of them back to back. So looking forward to that kid's career as he pushes forward.
The one thing that's been tough for Chop is I feel like there's more of a spotlight on him in his rookie year because of all the injuries, and that's not his fault. Everybody said this is a kid who's going to be a little bit of a project's a tough word, but he's going to need some development, some seasoning. And, you've seen some pretty good moments from him. Like, he is fast. He's, I think of a drive he ended where he got really after Josh Allen and, forced some tough incompletions on guys. Yeah, that elusive sack hasn't been there yet. But Jalen Phillips did get off to a slow start in his career, too. Christian Wilkins talked about a lot of his struggles his rookie year. And Chop Robinson just seems no different right now. I do think, though, you spend all the money that you did, Solana. The question maybe is in the strategy of should they have gotten some real ready guys instead of a couple of guys who have some development to do in him and Patrick Paul early on in their career.
Yeah, that's been the conversation, right? Especially on the defensive end. You're losing Christian Wilkins. Okay, I mean, that's a huge loss. The dude's a stud. And you were starting the season without your two edge rushers. Should the Dolphins have drafted an edge rusher that clearly needed some time to develop, as you just said? But I'm split on this, Tobin, because, man, I like what Anthony Weaver said there. And by the way, just a little teaser. I know we haven't gotten to porpoise props yet, but Chop Robinson to record 1 sack today is at plus 300. I'm just throwing it out there, all right? And I think I'm gonna go with it. I'm split on this because I like the fact that against New England, yes, he definitely had his best game. He had the QB pressures there. He's getting to the quarterback. He looks more comfortable right now as well. But let's be honest, New England might have the worst offensive line in the NFL. They just do, right? So am I thrilled with the performance that I saw? Sure, but I'm also willing to put it in the proper context. I've seen him also go up against some of the better offensive lines in the NFL, which, by the way, the Colts happen to have some really good guards on their team.
Got some ballers.
And he wasn't nearly as effective either. So I think this is going to be a good test for him. And yeah, like the pressure's on, bro, whether it's fair or not. The reality is your first round pick, you just lost JP via the Dolphins. The pressure's on, and you want to see him be more consistent.
Well, we just got the actives and actives, and there might be a lot more pressure on Chop Robinson. We will give you those active and actives and talk a little bit about Odell Beckham Jr., who's also dealing with yet another injury. So we'll take a break here on Gameday Uncensored and get into the Miami Dolphins actives, inactives for Week 7 against the Indianapolis Colts. Back with more Gameday Uncensored after this.
This hurricane season, keep it on
Uncensored. On AM 560 Sports, WQAM. FM 99.9 HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Brought to you by South Florida Lexus dealers and the Lexus RX, the luxury SUV for those who never want to lose their edge. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer. Also sponsored by the free Odyssey app. Download it today to listen to us live or on demand. And by Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac. When it comes to returning your lease, Ed Morse has your back. Ed Morse Sawgrass Cadillac is your lease return headquarters. Click edmoresawgrasscadillac.com. Ed Morse is a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
And welcome back, everybody. It's Game Day Uncensored here, 560 WQAM. Streaming live on YouTube and Twitch, the channel Miami 560 WQAM, and free on the Odyssey app. AUDACY. You guys can listen to us there on demand and live. Let us get to our actives, inactives, which are brought to you by JM Lexus in South Florida. When you think football, you think Miami Dolphins and Miami Hurricanes. But when you think Lexus, think JM Lexus. Right now, we've got it all for fall. All right, Solana, here are the inactives for your Miami Dolphins. Javon Holland, inactive.
Makes sense.
Jeff Wilson Jr., of course, he got hurt in a warm-up earlier. I believe that was on Monday Night Football. Inactive. Ethan Bonner, inactive. Channing Tindall, inactive. Andrew Meyer. Of course, he's been inactive all year. Rookie, undrafted rookie out of UTEP. And then finally, Emmanuel Ogbah, inactive for the Miami Dolphins. As has been pointed out by the reporters, this means that Mo Kamara is active for the first time on an NFL game day in his career.
Yeah.
And then the question marks we had also were Austin Jackson, who showed up late on the injury report with a back injury. He is active. And, of course, Odell Beckham Jr. There was a hamstring / personal. He is active for today. What do you make of that, Solana?
Yeah, so just on the last two names you mentioned, I think Austin Jackson is huge. I want that offensive line healthy, and I think Austin Jackson is extremely important. So good news there. Odell Beckham Jr., I'm glad he's active. I like until I see something, I'm not going to be one of these people that's going to pretend like I'm expecting, some sort of big game from OBJ. I hope it comes at some point, but thus far, Tobin, I don't know. Maybe you can sell me on that a little bit more.
Oh, I can't.
Yeah.
And look, I understand he's dealing with something personal. I think as we've seen with the Heat, with their star Jimmy Butler, you never know fully what's going on with somebody off their life. So we don't know what's going on with him and the long snapper and all that type of stuff. I get it. But I will say, whatever has happened, he has made this seem like this has been going on since the offseason. I'm just confused by the Miami Dolphins going in this heavy pursuit of him, I guess, because, they didn't utilize him very much in his first game back. Now he's banged up already. He's already been dealing with lower body injuries. He has this hamstring that is in, so I don't even know what to expect from him today and then what's fair to grade it on. It's not like they broke the bank on him, Solana, but obviously when you sign a guy of his star power and his fame, there's going to be a lot of attention on it, and I don't know. It doesn't feel like this has worked out at all.
Yeah, my bigger issue is that he didn't really practice throughout training camp. And, the team just wasn't transparent about it. And then had they just told us, hey, he's not going to be ready for the first 4 weeks. We're going to put him on the IR. We want him to be 100%. I would have just been like, okay, I get it. But that wasn't really the conversation. And then we find out 5 days before the opener, he hasn't even caught a pass from Tua yet. He hasn't ran a route for Tua yet. And 4 weeks on IR, which is fine. I'm cool with it, Tobin, I meant it more as with Snoop Huntley, this offense hasn't looked good. Without Tua, hasn't looked good. You can't get the ball to Tyreek and Waddle consistently. How are they going to get the ball to OBJ consistently?
Yeah, especially in a position he said I haven't played the slot since high school, college. So he's in a different spot. He did say during the bye week, this was Odell, and he said he does feel less pressure being on the Miami Dolphins. Here was OBJ.
I think I was definitely grateful and blessed to be out there, but for me it felt like less pressure than it ever felt in my entire life. Like, let's just go play football and have fun, which is a good feeling, instead of feeling super worried about something else or whatever the case may be. I was definitely excited to be able to be back on the football field. It felt good. Yeah.
Why less pressure?
I don't know. Different expectations, different role, just all of those things. It just felt different. Maybe where I'm at in life, the things I've been through, I'm just able to process and handle it differently.
So he says he feels less pressure. And then this week on Instagram, he posts, "The pressure drives me more than the attention ever did." I'm like, wait, didn't you just tell me you didn't feel pressure? Maybe that's a lyric. I don't know. I can never keep up with the kids these days. But I just was like, wait a minute. He just told me that he's never felt less pressure a week ago. And now he's like, the pressure drives me. I'm like, well, which one is it? Do you feel pressure or don't you feel pressure? I don't really understand. So I'm just saying it's been weird around him.
It has. Yeah. And I mean, the line he dropped, 2 weeks ago, where he kind of was like, I don't even need to be here. Or,
right.
Well, then, okay. I don't understand what you're doing there. Like, I don't even need to be playing football. Okay, so then why are you if you don't want to be? I'm not mad at Odell. Tobin, I know he's like enemy number one on Dolphins Twitter right now, or Dolphins X. And everybody's kind of just like accusing him of stealing a paycheck. Bro, Odell Beckham Jr. doesn't need a paycheck right
Definitely
now.
not.
I think he's okay. I think he wants to play football. I think he's committed to playing football. I really do, Tobin. I think he's working out, trying to get back. This entire situation has been weird, and since he's a more high-profile player, it gets more attention. My only thing is, when we're talking about what to expect from him today, it's not that I don't think he's capable of giving you a game or two this season where he can give you a touchdown, maybe, 4 or 5 catches for 80-something yards. It's that I don't think this offense is capable of producing that type of production for anybody, let alone your third or fourth option in the receiving core.
Yeah, and that's where I'm hopeful we can see some flashes today. I'm hopeful that is that's a possibility. But man, you look at not having him being banged up, but then you look on the other side of the ball, no Agba, and what kind of pressure that just puts on your rookies. Like, hey, go get him, kids. Go try and figure this out. The really fast big guy, go try and bring him down. That's this has been crazy. I've never seen a run like this for the Dolphins where they don't have anybody who can get after the quarterback because they all just keep getting hurt.
Yeah. Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald, he tweeted out something that's fascinating. The Dolphins today, all their outside linebackers available don't have a sack. Like, none of them combined have 1 sack this year, when this defense is predicated on your outside linebackers, your pass rushers getting to the quarterback. I mean, that's what this defense is predicated on.
Yeah.
Chop Robinson, JP getting to the quarterback, and that forcing him to make bad decisions. And then Jalen Ramsey, Kendall Fuller, your secondary can pick those balls off. I mean, it's incredible that no Agba, no JP, and no Chubb for a game. So you're literally banking on Chop Robinson, who we discussed last segment, Quentin Bell, and Tyus Bowser, who's been here 3 weeks to make plays for you.
Cool
today.
name, though.
Very cool name.
Very cool name.
Cool. And Mo Kamara, who's active for the first time today.
Right. And I thought Mo Kamara, I thought he was going to play more because Mo Kamara did put up. I mean, that kid, it's funny how him and Chop are almost the opposites. Like, Chop is a guy who has all the measurables in the world, blew out the combine, but just did not have sack numbers. And then on the other side of the coin, you have Mo Kamara, who's not the physical freak. He's a bit smaller, but that dude gets after the quarterback and put up crazy sack numbers in his conference for Colorado State. It's an interesting dynamic those two are. They are close, so maybe there can be some kind of a youth. I'm not banking on it. I'm just I'm throwing hope up there and hoping like hell that they know each other well, and then something can be there. Maybe a comfort of, hey, Mo, you have nothing to lose here. Like,
right.
You've been inactive every single game. We have nobody else. You're gonna be out there. You're gonna get your opportunities. Do what you can do.
I don't expect to see him too much. I'm interested to see how many actual snaps he gets. Hopefully, knock on wood, right? There's no further injury to that defensive front. But I mean, you're going up against a quarterback who we know is a dual threat, but probably the greatest risk he has of hurting this Dolphins defense, Tobin, is what? Getting out on the edge and making plays with his feet. So this isn't an ideal game to be without at least some more experienced pass rushers, Ogba being the one that we're talking about. Obviously, I know Chop Robinson, he's not ready yet, and JP, unfortunately, is out for the rest of the year again. So, I mean, this sucks, right? This does suck, but this is still a beatable team. Even with all these injuries, even without Holland, even without Ogba, there's still playmakers on the defensive side of the football, even on that line, Tobin, starting with Zach Sealer all the way to Jalen Ramsey and Jordan Poyer. Like, they should find a way to slow down this Colts offense.
I don't know though, dude. Like and I don't mean to be a downer on this, but it is game day uncensored. Like, we keep doing the thing of like, imagine if the Dolphins can get back to 3-3 and what a sigh of relief it is. But what are we leaning on? Like, the only thing that I can say, I can look at this game from the outset and I say, okay, there is a palpable strength and there is a weakness. And that I can say is Dolphins run game versus that Colts run defense, if they can lean on that. And then the hope is, I think, a little bit that you're going to be gifted some things by a wild card at quarterback. But I think that there's a reason that the Colts picked this to be the game Anthony Richardson comes back. There's a reason for that.
I get it. Yeah, the Dolphins right now, the same way all of us were looking at that Tennessee game, right? Everybody's looking at that Tennessee game and saying, all right, Tennessee, that's a game that you can win. Tennessee's looking at the Dolphins the same way the Colts are, circling that and saying, all right, that's a game that we're going to win, right? The Dolphins are really bad right now. Tobin, I'm with you. But as I said in the first segment to start the show, the reason I have some optimism today, is because they figured it out against the Patriots. They did. Whether or not it was by a toe, they figured it out against the Patriots. They got the victory, which is the most important part. And I don't know, man, like the Jaguars scored 37 points on this Colts team, and the Jaguars are abysmal. Trevor Lawrence hadn't won a game in 8 straight starts before that.
Yeah, he sucks.
He does.
Although they are beating the Patriots right now.
Yeah.
Right now, we got 8:22 left. Jaguars up on the Patriots, 25-16. Drake May in his second start, 20 of 30 for 217 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Trevor Lawrence, 193 yards. God, he sucks. 1 touchdown. Run game has really been strong for the Jaguars. Tank Bigsby has run for almost 100 yards.
That's another crazy part in Jacksonville. Like, they drafted Travis Etienne, and he's not good. Like, he hasn't been great. I mean, I think he's good, but he hasn't been their best running back this season. It's been Tank Bigsby. That team is done. And apparently they're staying in Jacksonville. You saw that they got the new stadium approved. So all this talk about heading out to London full time, I guess, is getting thrown out the window.
Yeah, well, there's nothing else up there. I mean, I don't know, I don't know what else the people of Jacksonville do besides go to their Brownwater Beach and then go to Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp games. Like, what else do you do besides Jaguar games?
Nothing.
And then they take 2 of them away. Yeah, you take 2 of them away every year in London, so they don't even have to go to that many games. I guess so does that put an end to the London Jags? Like, is it then going to become like the London Chargers after that?
I guess so. I mean, at some point, right? That's happening. Goodell wants a team in London. I think it's pretty obvious. The Jags just played 2 straight weeks in London. That's crazy.
Yep. We'll take a break. Omar Kelly, our former Game Day Uncensored co-host, he stops by, Miami Herald, Miami Dolphins columnist, Omar Kelly. He's going to stop by the show next.
Football coverage on WQA.
WKIS HD2 Boca Raton, an Odyssey sports station.
Powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys.
Call 1-800-7473.
That's 1-800-747-3733.
It's another Game Day Uncensored.
And we have Dolphins football today. Fins and Colts from Indianapolis. The Dolphins won, let's call it what it was, an ugly game versus the Patriots before the bye week. But hey, a win's a win. Tyreek Hill says that win could be a stepping stone for more.
I mean, we always happy about winning, so I think that's the most positive thing, any team will want. Obviously, the season didn't start the way, the first few games didn't start the way we wanted it to. You said it, we 3-3, but it's all about how you finish. Hopefully, down this long stretch that we got, we can put together some wins.
Mike McDaniel was asked if coming off the bye means his rested team is raring to go.
It's a lot of wear and tear on the body for all the players that sleep and rest and seeing your family as coaches. But generally, when you're trying to get something right, these are the rare times you're like, yeah, I do not want the bye week right now. So I do think there'll be pep just because of the eagerness. It was a highly motivated post-bye Monday practice.
And if things fall the right way, the correct answer, Mike, is yes. Dolphins game day has arrived. Time now to talk about it on Game Day Uncensored, the pregame show for real Miami football fans with Tobin and Solana, Omar and Beasley. On AM 560 Sports, WQAM, FM 99.9 HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Brought to you by South Florida Lexus dealers and the Lexus RX, the luxury SUV for those who never want to lose their edge. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer. Also sponsored by the free Odyssey app. Download it today to listen to us live or on demand. And by Edmore Sawgrass Chevrolet. Edmore Sawgrass Chevrolet is your lease return headquarters. Click EdmoreSawgrassChevrolet.com and see how you're backed by Morse when it comes to returning your lease. Ed Morse is a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
And welcome back, everybody. It is Game Day Uncensored here. 560 WQAM. Tobin here with you alongside Alejandro Solana. Let us talk to our guy, Miami Dolphins columnist from the Miami Herald, Omar Kelly, joining us here. How are we doing, Omar?
We are excellent. We're a little bit better than Emmanuel Ogbah, which was a surprise scratch. I know Mike McDaniel said he was questionable and they were a little bit concerned, but Ogbah told me he was confident that he was going to go.
So, Omar, that means you have a rookie in Mo Kamara, who's active, who has not taken an official NFL snap yet. You have Chop Robinson, first-round pick, who I think had his best performance prior to the bye in New England. And you also have Quentin Bell, able to make plays for you, and Tyus Bowser, who's been here, 3 weeks. Can you sell me on why I should trust those edge rushers, those outside linebackers on actually making a play today against a guy who we all know can beat the Dolphins with his feet?
I think it's not just them. I think you might see Calais Campbell play a little bit more on the edge. This is a 17-year veteran. He is a 3-technique edge. So Calais has shown you can play just about every position, and maybe except for the nose tackle. Am I concerned? Yes, I am. I mean, this is probably began this training camp as the thinnest, weakest unit on your team. Now you're down Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb isn't ready to come back in October, and you still don't even have Cameron Good, and you're basically going to probably start a rookie for the first game in Chop Robinson. But the last time I checked, other NFL teams had their first and second round pick playing, if not starting. Some are excelling. Ours just don't happen to have that kind of success, unfortunately. But maybe Chop Robinson changes the tide of that today.
Well, so what's fair to judge on him, Omar? It's not his fault that he's thrown in the deep end because they drafted him knowing they had two of their stars, coming off of injuries. But we're, getting to game 6 now here for Miami. When do you expect the uptick from a rookie? When can you expect him to be all right, the training wheels are off?
To me, the biggest issue is the run stopping and the edge setting, and that's a challenge for most rookies. I remember Jalen Phillips didn't really start to heat up until the second half of his rookie season. So maybe Chop is a little bit ahead. This is going to be a big moment for him, and not just him, but Tyus Bowser, who was added 2 weeks ago, claimed off the practice squad. He's a guy that's battled injuries. He was a former sack leader for the Baltimore Ravens, played for Anthony Weaver. According to Calais Campbell, he knows more of this defense than anybody on the team, and that includes Calais. So that's a good step. I watch warm-ups as I usually do, and Tyus Bowser, I mean, he got really oiled up. When I say oiled up, I mean sweat. In terms of how much pregame workout he was doing. And I thought to myself, like, man, if this is that guy's regular routine, this is incredible. I got to tell you, I'm not very confident. I would be comfortable if Emmanuel Ogbah was out there, but then I get it. This team is very cautious when it comes to injuries and trying not to make injuries worse. That's one of the reasons why you see Javon Holland, even though he practiced all week, he's not going to play. They're going to wait for some of that swelling in his hand to go down. And I've watched Javon practice with the hand. I've watched Javon use the hand. He takes off. He's wearing a glove now. But the hand is swollen, and I mean swollen as hell. And so, that's got to be painful. So I guess they're waiting for some of that to go down. But you will get Jordan Poyer back. That's a step in the right direction, let's hope. But, yeah, am I worried about the edge players? Absolutely. But I think that's a great opportunity for Deshaun Hand and Brandon Peely to step up as the interior defensive tackles, and that could free up Calais Campbell to be an edge player today.
Omar, on the other side of the ball, good news, Austin Jackson is healthy. We know Teron Armstead is out there as well. So for the most part, your O-line is at the very least available. I think that's a good starting point.
Healthy is a stretch for Austin Jackson. He's bad. I mean, but as we know, NFL players battle something at some point.
Yeah. He's just battling life, I think. Like, he's just always battling something. But Omar, is it fair to expect Tyler Huntley to look even more comfortable than he did 2 weeks ago with the extra time off, the bye week? Like, should we expect something from this Dolphins offense that we haven't seen without Tua yet over a 3-week sample size already?
You mean points? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, are they going to score more than 15 points, Omar?
Yes.
Is it going to be miserable to watch them again today? I guess that's the question I'm asking.
Yes, it's going to be miserable to watch again today. And I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news. I usually am when it comes to Dolphin fans, but I'm sorry, you can't expect a guy to come here and I guess, what was his first game? Was it Titans?
Yeah.
You can't expect him in 6 practices to take over and just have a master command of the offense. And this is one of the more complicated offenses in the NFL. The motions, the pre-snap reads, the audibles, the adjustments, the hot routes. It is extremely complicated, which is why you hear a lot of young players saying, why they don't get on the field early. What they said was during the bye week, they got a chance to teach him a lot of their concepts, a lot of the things that they didn't have time to when they were trying to teach him plays. This is why, because a lot of times the players, they get a better understanding of the offense when they get that this is why we do this. So now I think you're going to have a better chance of seeing him probably, and they are more familiar with his skill set, so they can cater a little bit more to what he does and what his strengths are. Do I expect a big play from Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle? No, I don't, because they just don't have the chemistry or the timing with him. But I do expect you to get a little bit more from Odell Beckham. I do expect you to get a little bit more from Jonnu Smith, and definitely the run game. You've got to get the run game going, and with Raheem Mostert, I think you got a chance.
Should I continue to bet Julian Hill anytime touchdowns?
No. Stop.
I'm too committed at this point, Omar.
Julian Hill, he's lucky he has a job. And he's really on the field because of his run blocking prowess. I just don't see him scoring a touchdown anytime soon. I think you got a better chance with the Durham Smythe anytime touchdown.
They are kind of the same on the odds right now. Interesting.
Yeah.
From you wrote this week, we could be approaching the end of the Tua Tagovailoa era. with the Miami Dolphins. It's tough not to already be thinking about his return, which seems like it's going to be next week.
Absolutely, it's going to be next week.
So what do you think, Omar? Like, what are going to be the feelings you have watching him from here on out, other than he needs to save this putrid offense? But it's going to be tough not to be thinking about his long-term future as well every time he's in anywhere near conflict or contact on the field.
I just want to point out two things. If you don't have a greater appreciation for Tua Tagovailoa and what he brings to this team and what he brings to this offense, you're blind. No matter what you think of him, you should know he's a great facilitator of the offense. He's a great reader of the defense. He's a great when it comes to chemistry with his wide receivers and throwing balls that put them in position to get you rack yards. The other thing that I think is very important for Dolphin fan base to realize is that he has been treated differently than every other player in the NFL who has suffered a concussion in recent history.
Right.
There's nobody else who gets shut down for a month because they suffered a head injury. And yes, the fencing hands and his reaction to being hit, that's tragic. From what we understand, based on stories that Barry Jackson has written, talking to every concussion expert he can possibly find, it takes the brain 30 days for it to feel fully heal. And let's just hope that it's fully healed. And then the next time we have a hard contact or hard collision, we don't see Tua get knocked out cold. But yes, are we going to have to live in fear for the rest of his career that he's going to suffer another concussion? I personally think that if he suffers another one this season, you might see a quarterback be forced to call it a career. But I think there's also a very good chance. I think it's 50-50. He might not suffer another concussion the rest of the way. And we might get the Tua that we've seen and relied on for the last 2 years. I mean, obviously, anybody with eyes should know that Tua is worth more than 12 points a game, which is really what they've been scoring since his absence. As long as he's on the field, you got a chance to win every single game. And that's what's really missing from this team. But when you look at the stretch of games that they've got coming up, if you get a healthy Tua back and if you can keep him healthy, which I think is a bigger problem, you're going to be able to put together possibly double-digit wins because outside of Green Bay and Houston, I think it's Green Bay, Houston. There's really nobody. Green Bay, Houston, and the 49ers. There's nobody scary on your schedule. Everybody else is relatively beatable, whether you're at home or on the road. And as we know, as Tua goes, this team goes. But keep in mind, he's never produced a losing season for the Miami Dolphins.
You say relatively beatable. Maybe I would add Buffalo to that list. Not that they're not beatable, but anybody except for the Dolphins. Except for the Dolphins. Omar,
let them do it before we chalk up anything ever against that team.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, though.
I just chalked that up as a loss.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Right. Add them to they're not beatable for the Dolphins. Maybe anybody else they're beatable, but not for the Dolphins. Omar, I agree with everything you said about at the very beginning there about how Tua is, certainly judged differently with the concussions and because of how it looks and the optics. We're on the same page there 100%. I'm just struggling with how, they set this precedent, right? If he does suffer a concussion, the best course of action in terms of Tua's recovery after one is to put him on the IR, right? I think they've set that precedent this go-around here where he suffered a concussion week 2. Did he need to be put on IR, Omar? I don't know, especially with the bye week, maybe not. But they did that. If it happens, best case scenario, it doesn't happen this year, right? He stays healthy and everything works out for them. They make the playoffs. Okay. But how do you operate moving forward? This is something I asked Tobin. Even, next year, the following year, if he does get hit and he has a concussion, how do you operate as an organization knowing that your starting quarterback potentially is going to have to miss at least 4 games every single year he gets hurt? Yes. I don't understand that. And again, I like Tua. Everything you said is right. His value is clearly on the up and up more than ever now. But as an organization, I don't get it because you're literally operating knowing that your guy's going to miss at least 4 games every single year.
Well, yeah, there's a possibility. I mean, last year he stayed completely healthy. There's a possibility. Concussions haven't been the storyline of his entire career. They've just been the storyline of his career recently. I think you have to go out and you have to get an established, competent backup quarterback. And it doesn't necessarily, or a young guy that you want to develop. You can go get a Jameis Winston. You can go get I'm a Josh Dobbs fan. You can go sign Josh Dobbs. He's in the 49ers offense and have him here. And you have to get somebody that you're confident can lead your team to victories with very little work. That's not, while it's been Joe Flacco this season for the Colts, that hasn't necessarily Joe Flacco with the Jets was abysmal. So, you just got to make sure it's the right fit. Now, a lot of people are saying, oh, go get yourself a first-round quarterback. I'm sorry, but don't reach. Yes, do you need a young quarterback that's developmental? Absolutely. But developmental quarterbacks need practice time and snaps. You're not going to get that with Tua Tagovailoa as a quarterback. He eats up practice time, kind of like a Peyton Manning. But you just have to get a guy that you are confident that he can go out there and do better than what we've seen at quarterback for the absence that we've had to Jacoby Brissett. Somebody better than Jacoby Brissett, because I don't think that was much of an upgrade over Tua. The next generation's Ryan Fitzpatrick, whoever that is. The next generation's Matt Moore. That gives you a chance, but do you feel concerned about the franchise's long-term health and stability? Absolutely, because there's really nothing to build on. There's no foundation on this team. There's no foundation of a defensive line. There's no foundation of an offensive line. Javon Holland, probably your best player on defense, not named Jalen Ramsey. He's an impending free agent. So yes, are you confident that you're building this thing the right way? My vote would be no.
Go follow his work at Omar Kelly on X. And you, of course, can read his work in the Miami Herald. Go ahead, Solano. You got one closing thought?
One more question here, Omar, before we let you go, because everybody is so worried about the roof today at Lucas Oil Field. But I did see your video. Chris Greer sitting down next to Tom Garfinkle. And as you tweeted, they're having an animated chat before the Colts game. I know, you're not next to them. But is there any chance they're having an actual serious conversation about the roster or anything? Or is Chris Greer just trying to convince Tom Garfinkle to start rocking the suit hat combo like he does every single time we see him publicly?
That was clearly, I'm sure they have multiple conversations with one another, but that was clearly one of the more hand movements and everything. And I just took a snippet of it. I was like, this is clearly a very interesting conversation now. Trade deadline could be a factor.
Right.
Tua coming back to health, Tua's insurance, because they do have insurance on Tua. I don't know if it covers concussions or not. That's something that's super secret, where basically the team can get out of the contract, or majority of the contract, at the end of the season. But there's so many things that could have been the discussion point. The offensive line. I found it interesting that the next guy that Chris Greer went to go talk to was Butch Barry, the offensive line coach, and I would argue that the offensive line has underperformed despite their absolute confidence that that unit was ready to go and going to show you the progress and development. But I don't know what that conversation was, but I did find it very interesting, which is why I shared it, of course.
They're laughing at your concerns, man. They're laughing at you.
I know. Mock me and my they get so funny. Who's getting the last laugh now?
Next thing they'll do is we laugh at you guys' concerns about the special teams being able to find new ways to screw up.
Yeah, now we're on a new long snapper. Jesus Lord. I don't know what's going on with Blake Ferguson, but a number of us watched him have some struggles with his snaps this week, and let's hope he's all right. He's a guy that's battled diabetes throughout his life, and let's hope this is not something that's flared up on him.
Thank you, Omar. Appreciate the time.
All right, guys.
There you go, Omar Kelly. Once again, go follow his work at the Miami Herald, Dolphins in Depth podcast, and you can follow him on X and social media platforms at Omar Kelly. Take a break. We'll show you where to put the action. Porpoise Props coming up next.
WQ broadcasting live from the Ed Moore
Let's get back to Game Day Uncensored on AM 560 Sports, WQAM, FM 99.9 HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Brought to you by South Florida Lexus dealers and the Lexus RX, the luxury SUV for those who never want to lose their edge. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer. Also sponsored by the free Odyssey app. Download it today to listen to us live or on demand. And by Edmore Sawgrass Buick GMC. No matter where you lease your vehicle, bring it to Edmore Sawgrass Buick GMC, your lease return headquarters. It's all a part of being backed by Morse. Click EdmoreSawgrassBuickGMC.com, a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
And welcome back, everybody. Game Day Uncensored here, 560 WQAM. Tobin and Solana here with you, getting you ready for Week 7 of the NFL season against the Indianapolis Colts. If you guys are just tuning in, Miami Dolphins have made Emmanuel Ogbah inactive. Javon Holland is inactive. Odell Beckham Jr. and Austin Jackson good to go. They will be active today. The Dolphins signed a long snapper who is he 40? You told me, Solana? That was a new one. I didn't know how old the guy was.
Yeah, 39 years old. 39.
Wow. You think they called John Denny?
It's
how old is
possible.
John Denny at this point?
45, maybe. I mean, he can't be that much older.
Do you think John Denny can get off the couch and snap dimes today? I feel like he can.
John Denny is 45 years old. Yes, I do. I genuinely do. I don't know if he could do it for a full season. One game, he could do it 100%. It's like, it's just like his natural movement. He did that for like 25 years of his life. It's just snap.
Luong came out. He won a rec game. He didn't even win a beer league championship this summer. Same thing.
He also gave up like 4 goals, I think, or 2 goals. I mean,
could have been on. Maybe it was on the PK. Maybe that's what it was. I don't know, dude. I don't know. Bob last night. Oh, he is fantastic. I love him so much.
He's good, man. He's good.
I love him so much. He has been diving more this opening season. Not to get Panthers on everybody, but he's been diving all over the place more these first dozen games. I mean, it's crazy.
I mean, we want to talk about, South Florida athletes playing well. Do you think Cam Ward could be running this Dolphins offense better than Snoop Huntley? I don't know. I
don't know.
It's a stretch, but it's worth it. It's definitely worth considering, I think.
The Canes are your football roller coaster right now. Like they are the entertainment factor every single weekend. The Dolphins, right now it feels a little bit like homework. Hopefully today they can go get an encouraging performance. But you know what always makes games more watchable, Solana? Action.
Yes,
Let's get to some porpoise props.
Let's go.
It's time for...
I don't know about you, but that looked like money.
Porpoise props.
Hopefully you didn't jinx us.
Porpoise props brought to you by Hard Rock Bet. Hard Rock, roll with us. All right, Solana. We go to the Hard Rock app. We fire things up. We put things together. Anytime touchdowns today for the Miami Dolphins. You have Devon Achane returning from concussion.
Yeah.
He is the team favorite along with Raheem Mostert, plus 145 to score an anytime touchdown. Tyreek Hill, plus 195. You have Waddle and Tyler Huntley at plus 275. Jonnu Smith is plus 325. Jalen Wright, plus 425. And then you start getting to the higher numbers. Odell Beckham Jr. at plus 850. Alec Ingold at plus 1,200. Braxton Berrios at plus 1,500, which is right there with Julian Hill, who is now at plus 1,600. Durham Smythe plus 1,300. Any of these wet your whistle, Solana? What do you like for this week?
So I can tell you 100% which one does not wet my whistle. Julian Hill. Tobin, I refuse to throw more money at Hard Rock with Julian Hill comeback. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't feel great about Julian Hill, but I will tell you what. Tyler Huntley interests me, and Raheem Mostert, again, interests me. Tyreek Hill at plus 195, it's silly, not to at least take a flyer on it, but I don't feel confident. To me, it's Mostert and it's Tyler Huntley. Those are the two that I think are worth actually betting money on.
Yeah, that's an interesting one for sure. I'm still going to do it. I'm going to bet Julian Hill anytime touchdown because I must.
Okay.
It's
You're going to ride with it. You ride with it, man.
We ride with it. I don't feel great about it, but I'm going to do it. You got your over-unders for Raheem Mostert today set at 36.5. What do you think of that number? Feels a little low.
It does, but that just tells you the state of this team, right? Or these two teams. Like, nobody expects either of them to actually be able to put up points. And the Dolphins are averaging 12 points. So, yeah, I don't feel good about it at all, man. Like, at all.
All right.
I like betting the under is my point. Like, I don't feel good.
Tyreek Hill 4.5 catches.
We're going to do this again, though, with Tyreek Hill.
4.5. He had 6
Again?
last week or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I'm putting this together. All right. I'm going Raheem Mostert, parlay, over 36.5 rushing yards. Tyreek Hill, over 4.5 catches. Jonnu Smith, over 19.5 receiving yards. And a Raheem Mostert anytime touchdown. That gets me a plus 1,300 for the parlay, Solana.
So what about what I told you earlier? Chop Robinson to get a sack, Tobin. Chop Robinson to get a sack. It was actually updated. So when I texted you about it, or when we had talked about it on the air, Chop Robinson was at, I think, plus 295 to get a sack. It's listed at a half right now. So all he needs is 1, and it's at plus 300. Plus 300.
It's not enough. It's not enough for me. If you were in it's just not enough to wet my whistle. No, to get his first sack, I'm getting it just, I'm getting plus 300. Nah, doesn't do it for me.
All right.
Doesn't do it for me. Sorry.
And nobody else, like nobody on the Zach Sealer plus 175, Calais Campbell plus 185. Bro, like Chop. Are we not saying Chop Robinson can be impactful today? Then you don't think he can get one?
Well, that's
sack?
the story of his career. His story is I'm impactful, but I don't get numbers. Like that's what it is. I'm not gonna put money on that.
All right.
Unless you're gonna be in Julian Hill territory. Like then, I don't see the point. If he was sitting at plus 900,
you're just looking at like big.
That's
returns.
how I bet though. I like
right.
swings.
I like it. Like you're Giancarlo Stanton or Aaron Judge stepping up to the plate, but sometimes Tobin, you got to just make contact and get on base, man.
But you're saying I'm going to make contact for a reward of 3-1. Like that's not.
Well, I mean, maybe
it's almost the same to bet a Jalen Waddle touchdown than it is to bet a Chop Robinson sack.
Right, but come on, Jalen Waddle, you, me, Dan Day, and everybody listening right now has the same amount of touchdowns as Jalen Waddle.
I've been saying this. Everybody acts like I want to like I'm going after puppies if I go after Jalen Waddle. He's the most beloved Dolphin of all time. All right, that is Porpoise Props. We will take a break, predict the game ball, give some final thoughts on Dolphins and Colts. Back after this.
Ryan Radke here from Sunday Night
560 Sports, WQAM, FM 99.9 HD2, and always live on the free Odyssey app.
Brought to you by South Florida Lexus dealers and the Lexus RX, the luxury SUV for those who never want to lose their edge. Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer. Also sponsored by the free Odyssey app. Download it today to listen to us live or on demand. And by Edmore Sawgrass Chevrolet. Edmore Sawgrass Chevrolet is your lease return headquarters. Click EdmoreSawgrassChevrolet.com and see how you're backed by Morse when it comes to returning your lease. Ed Morse is a proud partner of the Miami Dolphins.
And welcome back, everybody. Game day uncensored here. 560 WQAM. Dolphins getting set for the Indianapolis Colts. 2.5-point dogs for the Fins. So I don't know if that has to do with Anthony Richardson, because normally that even teams, home teams, usually 3-point favorites. So a little bit of buzz coming in on the Miami Dolphins for this week, thinking they can find something with that run game. But if you guys are just tuning in, no Emmanuel Ogbah today for the Dolphins. So they will be very reliant on their rookie Chop Robinson, Mo Kamara, some new guys, Quentin Bell, Mr. Hard Knocks.
Hey, Joe Shad just tweeted something. I mean, maybe he's listening to us, and it's a shot at us, but he posted the actual pronunciation guide for the Dolphins today. He says, please note, it's Kamara. We've been saying Kamara. It's Kamara. And Aaron Brewer is listed on the Dolphins' official pronunciation. Tobin, I'm just ignorant, but it's Aaron Brewer.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Brewer, not Aaron. Aaron.
I feel like we've been saying that correctly.
I haven't.
Aaron Brewer? Yeah, I knew. Because I remember that feeling weird. He's getting a little cute with the Kamara.
Yeah.
Tomato. You know?
It's like it's like A-Chan. First it was A-Chain, and then he had...
Which is still cooler.
100%, because we can call him the A-Train. And then he had the Denver game, and he's like, actually, I'm A-Chan now. Call me Devon A-Chan now.
Right. Is there a game you're looking forward to, Solana, in this early slate? We got Seahawks Falcons. We got Titans Bills. We obviously got to keep an eye on that, but the Bills are 9-point favorites. That's gone up. Texans Packers is a pretty good game. And you got Lions Vikings in the 1 o'clock slate.
Yeah, I hate to pick the obvious one, but that's the one right there. Vikings are undefeated, but they've kind of slipped a little bit their last couple games. They almost got beat by the Jets, and then they struggled last week. Bro, I think the Lions are the best team in the NFC right now. I really do.
Very jealous.
If very, we could have had Dan Campbell, Tobin. But if the Lions could beat the Vikings, I think the darling in the NFC gets shifted, and the Lions are back on top. So that has to be the best game in the early slate.
It's not missing Dan Campbell that hurts. It's hiring Adam Gase instead of Dan Campbell that one. That's what really gets you.
Yeah.
That's the one that's a kick in the junk if you're a Dolphin fan. But yes, this Dolphins game, let us get to our predict the game ball here. Solana, who do you think, if the Dolphins win this game today, who is going to have the best performance in that?
So as much as I think you're crazy for betting Julian Hill anytime touchdown prop bets, there's always somebody crazier, because somebody texted into our text line, Tanner Connor plus 5,000 to score a touchdown today. And I don't get it. I mean, just send me the $10, sir, please. Just say you're I'll put it to good use. I promise. My game ball today, Tobin, is gonna go to Raheem Mostert. I picked Mostert to win the game ball in New England. You could have made the case for him to get the game ball in New England. I'm going back to Raheem Mostert. I think the Dolphins win this game. If they do win this game, I think they do it on the ground. I think he's your most reliable runner. I think he's your best weapon offensively right now because of the circumstances. So give me a Raheem Mostert anytime touchdown today, and he gets your game ball.
I'm going to go with Jalen Ramsey to get the game ball today. I think you have a quarterback who's a little willy-nilly with the football. They have been using him around the chessboard a little bit more, Jalen Ramsey. This, to me, feels like an opportunistic game for the Dolphins star cornerback to be moved somewhere in a spot, take advantage of a young quarterback, and make a big key turnover in the situation. I feel like this is a big night for a big afternoon for number 5 for the Dolphins.
Yeah, I mean, we could use like the Jalen Ramsey game, right? He's been good. I know he's had some bad moments, but bro, Jalen Ramsey, I think, has been good this year. I really do.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I know, he catches some heat every now and then, but
he had the dumb penalty last week where he grabbed the face mask rushing by the QB. But other than that, no, he's been rock solid
for that. He got fined for that, by the way.
Did
I don't
he?
know if you saw it. Yeah, he got
I
fined.
didn't see that.
But bro, we could use that, man. Like, come on, give us the Jalen Ramsey pick six. Like give us one of those plays. We could use that.
Yeah, I just want that's one of the things is I don't assume anything with this Dolphins team because everything's just been so hard this season to try and just get through these games. But yeah, it would be nice if you could just get a little momentum like right out of the gate, big time, and turnovers would be a big thing. I think this team they're taking on is more complete than them. They have, of course, their injuries that they're dealing with too. But I do feel like they are going to give the Dolphins some opportunities where they can capitalize on some mistakes. And that's what I'm hoping for.
Hey, Tobin, I think we got to figure this out, right? Because last week or 2 weeks ago, the Dolphins won the game and the social team didn't show video of Mike McDaniel handing out a game ball. What happened there? He gave everybody a game ball again. Everybody got a game ball, and the Dolphins are just embarrassed about it by now. Like the social team's like, we can't keep giving people this type of content because everybody's annoyed by it.
No, I don't think that's it. I think they're probably just it's not we're really celebrating a win over the Patriots via social media. I think that Mike McDaniel did say an interesting thing though, and I didn't expect him to say it, where he was like, normally in the NFL, it's, credit to every other team. And Mike McDaniel did flat out say after that win, he's like, it shouldn't have been that hard. Like and you look at the running numbers, it shouldn't have been that hard. They shouldn't have had as many critical errors as they did. So my hope, they've won over his last 2 bye weeks the last 2 years. My hope is he's had a week. Everybody's a little bit more refreshed after what was a bit of a chaotic start to the season. Yes, you have injuries to deal with, but they'll be in a place where they can put together a more solid performance today.
I hope so, man. I hope so. You win this game, and a lot of the way or a lot of the feelings that we had about McDaniel kind of get washed up a little bit, at least for the time being, because it looked bad. Let's not forget Seahawks and Titans. That was as bad as I felt as a Dolphins fan in a long time.
Yeah.
You win this game, it shores up some of that for sure.
That is Game Day Uncensored, everybody. Mind you, Dan Day, what time are you coming? What time are you on today? 4 p.m. Dan Day takes you up until 7:30. You guys can react with it with Dan Day right here on 56 WQM. If you guys watched it on the YouTube stream, Miami 56 WQM, or you can listen to it on the Odyssey app. Everybody enjoy their football for the rest of the day, and we will talk to you guys next time.
WQA, casting live from the Ed Moore Sawgrass Auto Mall Studios. Ed Moore Sawgrass Buick GMC's entire